Hello, this is Storybooks channel. New videos are posted every day. Subscribe and click the bell.
Adriana was spinning in front of the mirror, trying on a new dress. It was the one she would wear on her date tonight. She could already imagine how Stephen would look at her when he saw it. "Mom, it's a gorgeous dress. I'm glad we bought it after all. It really looks good on you, daughter. By the way, I got myself a suit too. So I'll wear it to work tomorrow. And you don't stay up too long today, or I'll wake you up again and you'll be cranky." Well, you know how much I hate getting up in the morning. I know, because you go to bed late and you don't get enough sleep. You can't do that. But how many times do I have to tell you? And now I can't even go on a date. Well, you can, but you can't stay out late. Oh, Mom, you should go on a date too, by the way. You're getting boring. I mean, you're still young. Don't you want to meet someone who loves you? No, I don't, because I've been through this before, and I'm not going to make the same mistakes again. Oh, come on. Just because you had bad luck with my dad doesn't mean all men are the same. Mom, I'm an adult, so you can just forget about me and start living for yourself. You know I won't mind that. Besides, Stephen and I are getting married soon, and you'll be alone. And I don't want that. You shouldn't get married in a hurry. Live for yourself, finish college, get a job. Maybe you'll like another boy. You haven't thought about that? No, I haven't, because I don't need anyone but Stephen. I can't even look at anyone else. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Adriana looked at the clock in surprise and then at her mom. "You're expecting someone?" "No, I thought it would make Stephen come too early. He and I agreed to meet tonight. You know that." "All right. Well, I'll go get it. Maybe Betty's here. She promised to come over a long time ago." Adriana shrugged and turned to the mirror again. Really, how good is she? Adriana thought. Stephen is going to be absolutely delighted with me tonight. Outside the door of the room, she heard Christopher's voice. It was the son of her mom's friend Betty. "Please lend me the money I need." "What are you short on again?" "Booze. Your mom would kill me if she knew I was giving you money. You know she hates it when you get drunk." "What's the matter with you, Christopher? You're a young guy. Why do you drink with your aunt?" "Kathy, it's just my life. I can't not drink. Things are really bad. My wife left me. I got fired from my job. And my mother's always nagging me. Just give me a little bit, I promise. Just tonight, and I won't drink again. The pipes are on fire. If you don't give me exactly, I'll die today. Don't tell my mother for the last time, or she'll stop being my friend." "Thank you, Kathy. You just saved me. I'm going to look for a job tomorrow." Realizing I can't live like this, Kathy closed the door behind Christopher and sighed. Such a good-looking, handsome, smart guy. But when his wife left him, he started drinking. And within 6 months, he'd turned into an alcoholic. Betty didn't know what to do with him. She even wanted to get him coded, but Christopher didn't want to. He promised he'd stop drinking, but nothing changed. Adriana left the room and looked at her mother reproachfully. "You have nothing to do. Why did you give him money again?" I felt sorry for him. I know it's wrong to do that. But how do I look at him? It seems like he really feels bad. Yeah, they're all lying. You know what people will do to get drunk. So stop helping him, or some of the elite will stop being friends with you. You got it. I'm not giving him any more money. You always say that. The minute he steps foot in the door, you forget everything. I just feel sorry for him. You know, his wife left. He's out of work. Not everyone can handle it on their own. So I'm helping out as much as I can. Betty doesn't understand him in that sense. She won't give him money, yells at him all the time. It's hard on him. I want to help him. But you're not helping him. You're his mom. You're making it worse. Okay, let's not fight today. Just promise me you won't give him any more money, or I'll tell you people what you're doing. And believe me, she won't thank you for it. Okay, daughter, I understand you. Let's not fight today. Why don't you tell me where you and Stephen are going again tonight? 'Cause you know how worried I am about you, right? Stephen's not a bad guy, but you know what's going on in the world right now. Call me and tell me where you are and how you're doing. And home by 12 o'clock, please. Mom, why 12 o'clock? I'm an adult. How many times can you control me? Stephen is going to propose to me soon. You'll see, we'll get married. We'll live together. And you control me like a little girl. You can't do that. Besides, you know how it is. The clubs are just starting to open at this time. And I have to go home. Oh, those clubs. I hear about them all the time. It's all drugs and booze. That's why young people want to go there. And you too. Mom, why do we have to sit on the bench outside the house like old people? Why are you getting so worked up again? Let's talk about good things. We're so nervous today. Okay, daughter, it's up to you. But I warned you not to stay out late. Call me because I'm worried. Kathy went into the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and sat down at the table. She realized she had done the wrong thing herself. How many times Betty had complained to her about how she couldn't do anything about her son, what she'd told him to get a grip on himself, and tried to reconcile him with his wife. But nothing worked. And now it turns out that she gives him money to drink with her own hands. We gotta do something about that. We can't do that. And if people tell her what she did today, she'll be without a friend. Then her thoughts turned to her daughter, all grown up. She's all grown up now. She'll really get married soon. She'll leave her and she'll stay, Kathy all alone. Of course, she was very happy for her daughter. Especially her boyfriend is not bad, but still something told her. It was probably just female jealousy. She didn't want to say goodbye to her daughter because Adriana was determined that as soon as she got married, she and her husband would live separately. That's the right strategy. That's right. She herself had always wanted to live apart from her parents because she realized it was not a good thing. It's understandable. Parents are older, smarter, have lived their lives, but of course, they think that they can give advice to their children, who, however, want to live their lives as they see fit, not as their parents have lived their lives. At this time, the doorbell rang. Kathy realized that it was definitely Betty coming in. She set the glass down. Sighing, she went to open the door. It was indeed Betty on the doorstep. But you're going to keep me on the doorstep for a long time. I feel like you weren't expecting me today. Or did something happen to you? No, I was just thinking and didn't realize it was you. Oh, come on. I called you. I told you I'd be there. You're always at work. You're always busy. You've got other things to do. She's a businesswoman. Well, of course she is. What did you want? You have to make money. So I'm making money. My daughter's a student. She's getting married soon. It's going to cost us a lot of money. Are you sure you're going to have a wedding? Or is it just an evening? I don't know yet. In fact, I haven't gotten a proposal yet. Besides, I think that my daughter should finish her studies and find a job first. Because family life is not that simple. It's good with Mom. She went to the institute. In the morning came at lunchtime. Everything is ready. He ate, goes to study. But here you have to buy groceries and rent an apartment. And you have to pay for all that. But I've got Adriana. She's smart. She'll manage. Although, Stephen, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a bad guy from a good family. I've already found out all about him. There's a few things wrong with him, but I don't think it's that important. My daughter loves him, and I don't want to go against her decision. They all love each other. And then you see what happens. I don't know what to do with my son. He's taken money again. I see him coming out of the store with a bottle. But that's where he takes it. Tell me, please. I hid everything at home so he wouldn't sell anything. But he still manages to do it. I talk to him every day. But he doesn't listen to me. Is his Christina living with him? Or is he obsessed with her? I can see it. Well, what did you want? A family. They loved each other. And if that's the case, why don't you talk to him or Christina? How long do I have to talk to Christina? It's all the same. I won't live with him, that's all. And she dares to tell me he's an alcoholic. I'll tell you, she made him that way, because my son was never that way. Life happens. Believe me, I think he'll recover, get a good job. What are you talking about? These alcoholics only make promises. I need to treat him. But I have no idea how I'm gonna do it. He refuses to go to the hospital. Anyway, I'm tired. I have no energy left. Well, I just came to talk to you. And we're dealing with my family problems again. Tell me something. How do you keep yourself in shape? Look at me. I've probably gained 15 pounds, and you're still as thin and slim as a birch. I'm invited to a birthday party, and I can't fit into my evening dress. So I thought I'd see you today for that reason. So you could give me some advice. Who invited you to your birthday party? I thought I was your only friend. You are. But don't forget, I have coworkers. I'm not as much of a businesswoman as you are, but we still have some connections. Okay. Anyway, a coworker invited me. We're going to go to a restaurant. So you're saying you have a man? Oh, I'm not saying anything. We're just hanging out. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not old enough to have a man. Oh, come on. It's all nonsense. You're a normal, beautiful woman who has the right to be happy. And then you can still have a baby. You're crazy at 40. No, my son is enough for me. I don't want any more children. Well, maybe you're right. It's risky to have a baby at our age. You better tell me, my friend, why with your job and your position that I still have one. Yeah, you know, I never thought about it. After raising my daughter alone, I decided I'm not getting married again. It's not for me. At that moment, Adriana came into the kitchen. She said hello and winked at her mother. And what is this secret couple you're here to talk about? I understand about men. And who's got one? Mom, talk. What are you talking about? First of all, no one's had one yet. It's just that Betty says she's going to a birthday party at a restaurant. She's been invited. And then there's the whole work thing. And you're already making up your own damn mind. Mom, you're a grown woman, and you're hiding such basic things from me. But can't I see it for myself? Look at Betty. She even changed her hair. And she looks pretty good. It's obvious when a man shows up. The girl knows what's going on. Your mom didn't even notice. Yeah, my mom's been kind of sad lately. I don't know what to do. I mean, really, Kathy, what's going on with you? What are you thinking about? Are you in some kind of trouble? Oh, you guys, I don't have a problem. I'm just looking. My daughter's all grown up. Soon I'll be all alone. It's getting sad. It seems like only yesterday she was a little girl, and now she's getting married. But what's wrong, Mom? Why are you so worried? I'll give you grandchildren to nurse, and you won't be alone again. Besides, it's not like I'm moving to another city somewhere nearby. We'll get an apartment here. We'll see each other all the time. Although you say that now, family life isn't what you think it is. You and your husband will want to see each other. They're with me. Especially after marriage is such a wonderful time, especially when people love each other. So I'm not offended. I understand. I just don't feel good about it. I can't explain the feeling. But Kathy, I don't like your mood. You should be happy for your daughter. And you're just feeling depressed. You can't pull yourself together. Hey, why don't you go to a restaurant? We'll have a good time with me, sit and talk. Tell me honestly, when was the last time you went out? What are you talking about? You're invited, you go. That's exactly where I don't belong. Look, Mom, really, why don't you go? You really haven't gone out in a long time. That's enough. I'm not going anywhere. What about you, Betty? Don't be silly. Why don't we talk about what you're wearing? Besides, don't worry about your weight. You look great. You don't look thin at all. That's what I'm telling you. Just a little bit. Don't even think about losing weight. You're already looking great. If you succeed with that man, then you and I together will look for a man for my mom, because she is very beautiful, and I do not want her to stay alone. Besides, Mommy, but you deserve to be happy in the end. Daughter, why do you think that to be happy you have to have a man around? No, it's not for me. I've made up my mind and I know I don't need anyone else in my life. Yeah, you can't change my mom's mind. Well, I'll be off then. Stephen's already here waiting for me. Don't worry, I'll be there when the phone rings. It's not too late. Adriana left, and there was silence in the kitchen. Each of the women was thinking about something else. Kathy was so sad again that she didn't know what was happening to her. Lately, this oppressive feeling had not let her go at all. She didn't know what was wrong. It seems like a great job. Colleagues are good. Daughter's doing well in school. Got an apartment, a car. And still, I didn't feel good. Kathy, what are you thinking about all the time? I've been talking to you for 5 minutes, but it's like you can't hear me. What's wrong again? I can tell there's something wrong with you. I don't know. I can't explain the uneasy feeling I've been having for a month. I mean, everything seems fine. And then again, it's like something's wrong. What do you think it could be? Without the baby, it's just stressful. The daughter's grown up, of course. I mean, we want them to be small all the time. Well, it doesn't work that way. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of my wall. And everything's gonna be great with you. Hey, before I forget, I wanted to ask you for that blue dress. I'm really excited about it. I think it's perfect for me. And you know very well I don't have any jewelry. And your ring on your finger is driving me crazy. I love it. Do you have it with you? Yeah, it's a sapphire, only it's a family heirloom. It passed down to my grandmother from my great-grandmother. Then my mom got it, and then my mom gave it to me. I never take it off. The only thing I know I'll take it off is when my daughter gets married. That's when I'm gonna give this ring to her. Well, I see, all right. Do you have any jewelry to go with this dress besides this ring? To be honest, I didn't think it was that expensive. I thought it was just vintage, that's all. No, it is expensive, just not in that way. But you know what I mean. It's expensive. It's a keepsake. And the jewelry, we'll find it. You know, I have a lot of it. So we'll find something. By the way, do you have any shoes to go with that dress? If not, there's probably a problem, because you and I have different foot sizes. Now come on, let's go try the dress on. Listen, what would I do without you? If it wasn't for you, I'd be shopping right now. Because when I opened my closet the other day, I had nothing to wear like any other woman. And I haven't been to the store in a long time. And to be honest, I've fallen behind on fashion. You're the fashionista. Your suits are elegant. Your dress is gorgeous. So I thought I'd ask you for help. Well, you were right to come to me. Besides, I don't wear half my clothes. You come to me sometime. We'll go through these things, but you'll wear them. I'm not comfortable with that. Kathy, I'm just asking you for a dress, and you're trying to throw my whole closet at me. Don't be ridiculous. I said we'll take it now. Because look what I have in my closet. There's nowhere to put it. And believe me, I have the same problem. Nothing to wear all the time. Adriana looked at Stephen, smiling happily. She'd fallen in love with him as soon as she saw him. She pretended not to be interested in him. Stephen pursued her for 2 years, but then she gave in. And now they were always together. He tried not to leave her for a minute. Especially at the Institute, he was always near her. Today he noticed that Adriana was pensive. What's wrong? What's wrong with you? Yes, my mom's been sad lately. I look at her, and there's sadness in her eyes. She's never been like that before. Maybe it's because of me. Maybe she doesn't like the fact that you and I are getting married. No, she's very nice to you. She thinks you'd make a good husband. You know, it's something else. Maybe she's sick. You haven't noticed. No, she doesn't complain about her health. She's always cheerful. But there's something about her that makes me very uneasy, and I can't figure out what's going on. So how can I help you? Antonia, I wish I knew, but I don't know what's going on. So don't panic. Maybe Mom's having problems at work. Maybe in her personal life. There's probably a lot you don't know about her, right? No, my mom and I don't have any secrets. We trust each other. I always know if she has any problems. Then I don't know. But you wait a little longer. Maybe it'll all come out, and then you'll realize it's nothing. I'd like to believe that, but I'm feeling a little uneasy. Well, let's not talk about sad things now. Why don't you tell me where we're going tonight? You know, I was gonna ask you to take a walk. The last time I went to the club, I didn't really like it. Yeah, I don't think you did either. Anyway, Adriana, to tell you the truth, I'm not a fan of noise. I don't like all that music. It gives me a headache all day long. To be honest, I realized that a long time ago. I was just waiting for you to admit it to me. I would have told you a long time ago. It's just that you're a girl. I thought you wanted to be in places like this. So I put up with it. Well, you shouldn't have. You can't do that. We have to be honest with each other. And if I don't like it, do I have to put up with it? No, you misunderstand me. It's just that I would do anything for you, just to make you feel good. That's what I realized a long time ago. Just don't be like this anymore. If you don't like something, and if you're worried about something, say it right away. You need to solve such issues quickly, not tolerate for the sake of someone else. Although, to be honest, I'd put up with a lot of things for you too. Let's go to the park. It's so nice there now. We should get a bun on the way, feed the ducks. I've always loved it. My mom used to take me there when I was a kid, and we'd feed them together. They're getting used to it. They get closer and closer. I remember I even petted one, but it flew right away. But I remember that moment for the rest of my life. Are you right? It's really great. I love nature too, especially when my father used to take me fishing. Now he doesn't have time. They complain he doesn't have time. He complains about his health. We don't go anywhere now. But when I was a teenager, we used to do it quite often. My mom wasn't a nature lover. She always stayed home. So we only went on vacation with my dad. I think that's why they're getting along now. Because they always vacationed separately. And that, you know, it doesn't bring a family closer together. But on the contrary, it pushes them away from each other. I promise you that you and I will do everything together on vacation, together to work together. And when you and I have children to babysit, we will also be together. That's wonderful. I love you so much, Adriana. You have no idea. Now let's go to the park before it gets dark, and the ducks go to bed. Oh, that's okay. We won't have time to feed them. That's okay. We'll sit on the bench. We'll watch. Couples in love like us and daydream. Listen, Adriana, I wanted to talk to you. Here's something else. My parents want to meet your mother. I've been telling them I want to marry you. I think it's time for them to get to know each other and plan our wedding. How do you feel about that? You take your time, Stephen. I don't think now is the time. Let's finish school first, then get a job, and then think about our wedding. Well, it's so long, we've already decided. Yes, we have. But my mom insists that the wedding should take place only after you and I get a job. Well, think about it. We'll have to rent a place, buy some furniture. It's a lot of work. I know my parents will help us, but I don't want my mom spending money on me. She spent her whole life on me. And then I'll get married and I'll be sitting on her neck too. I don't know. My parents are willing to help us out. They say whatever I decide, they'll always be on my side. But my mom will be on my side too. You're forgetting one thing. You have a full-fledged family. My mom's been dragging me around all by herself. My dad left us when I was very young. And after that, my mom never remarried. She did everything to give me a happy, normal childhood. To be honest, I never even thought about my father, because when I grew up, I realized that I shouldn't think about a man who left his wife with a small child. It means that he is not a worthy man. I'm sorry, Adriana, I didn't mean to offend you. It's true. Sometimes when I meet you like this, I forget that you don't have any. Dad, Mom is really worthy of respect because she did everything to make you a happy child. That's really great, to be honest. I understand your mom somewhere because you think if I have a complete family, we're doing great, but my parents fight all the time. I recently found out that my dad was cheating on my mom, even though she probably knew about it. So, do you think I'm doing well in that kind of atmosphere? I can see that they hardly talk. If they do, it's kind of rude. They fight a lot. And that's wrong. They're cowards. Because if something went wrong between them, they should have solved it much earlier, instead of torturing each other all their lives. Now who needs both of them? Unless some young girl has got my dad's head wrapped around it. Well, it won't be for long. He won't be happy with her. And knowing my mom, she wouldn't go for that. Naturally, she'll be alone. Although, if they'd figured it out sooner, it's possible. In their time, everyone could build their own happy family and be happy. Yes, Stephen, I didn't realize you were so complicated. I always thought you were doing great. But no, it's very sad. Forgive me if I'm wrong about something, but again, you see, your parents love you anyway. If their love is gone, they think about you all the time. And by the way, they only live together for you. Don't you ever think about that? Yeah, sure. But parents shouldn't sacrifice themselves for their children. Because you can see that now. I met you. You're my destiny. I want to live with you. I mean, naturally. I'll leave home and have my own happy family, hopefully. And they'll be alone. That's what I'm talking about. Can you imagine? At that age, they'll realize that they don't need each other, that nobody needs them anymore. That's what I'm talking about. That's the mistake I keep telling you about. It's sad. Stephen, you look at it like that and think, is it worth getting married to hate each other like that? And then you have kids, you start to put up with things and give up things, thinking about who's right and who's wrong and living for the child so that he's the only one happy. I'm scared for some reason. Don't be scared of anything. I don't think it's gonna work out between you and me like it did between my parents. And remember, I'm never gonna leave you. I can't. I'm not like that. I was raised and I love you very much. I couldn't even think of leaving you with a little baby. I'm sorry. I don't know what it was about that man your mom fell in love with. But the way he acted, it's really awful. I know because my mom can still get over it sometimes. Even today, a friend of my mom's who's going on a date came over. She even invited her along. Apparently, there's gonna be more than one man there. So Betty decided to bring my mom, but she wouldn't go. She said she wouldn't go, and that was it. Me, realizing that no one could change her mind. It's understandable that you and I, Adriana, are having, unhappy conversations. Let's just talk about us. I miss you so much, I got a little angry and testy. I'm sorry, I just really want us to be together. I want that too, Stephen. But think about it. I think my mom's right after all. We should finish school first, and then we'll see what happens. And I'll talk to her about your parents too. I think it's time for us to get to know each other. Christopher woke up early in the morning, realizing that he couldn't even open his eyes because of a severe headache. He wrinkled his nose as he thought back to yesterday. The last thing he remembered very clearly was going over to Kathy's house to ask her for money. She gave him a pretty good amount, and he went to the store. Then there were some friends. He was sitting in someone's apartment, and now he was afraid to even think about where he was. With a great effort of will, he opened his eyes and realized that he was at home. He wrinkled his nose again. He realized that he was going to have another hard conversation with his mother. After all, she had seen him yesterday, in what state he had come home. It was going to be nerve-wracking again. He'd start talking about how he was living his life wrong. What could he do if he felt like his life was just going down the drain? He didn't even want to work because there was no one to work for. If he had lived before for Christina, now life had lost all meaning. He got up, went to the kitchen. He was terribly thirsty. Besides, he couldn't avoid talking to his mother anyway. But strangely enough, the house was silent. His mother must have gone somewhere. He poured a glass of water and drank it down. He drank the second one less quickly, as his thirst began to recede. He opened the refrigerator, but he didn't feel like eating yet. He went back to his room and lay down on the bed. Remembering that he should have had some money left over from yesterday, he grabbed his shirt, but there was nothing in the pockets. His pants were empty too. Had he spent it all yesterday? That's exactly what he couldn't remember. It was a pretty good sum, and he thought he had enough for the morning. But apparently, he had spent the whole sum yesterday or not, or one of his friends, when he was very drunk, had taken the money out of his pocket. Some friends, though, he wouldn't have even noticed them before, but now they're sitting at the table. They sympathize with his problems. He wonders how he ever lived without them. It's a little sobering now. He realized that they're just drinking buddies, and that if he's going to drink any more, it'll be alone. Well, now the question was where to get money for another bottle. There was no work. His mother wouldn't give him any money. Yeah, going to Kathy's after last night was uncomfortable. He got up every morning with these thoughts. He'd never thought he'd be preoccupied with such problems before. What to do and how to live his life. He decided to get some sleep so that with a clear head he could figure out what to do next. At work, Kathy felt unwell again. She began to feel dizzy for some reason and had a strange ache, some kind of incomprehensible throbbing pain. She wrinkled her nose and looked in her purse for pills, but there were none. Then, looking at her watch, she pulled herself together and decided to take a little walk to the pharmacy. It wasn't like the bosses had work to do anyway. She had hers all done so she could afford to leave. Besides, she was on a good account and thought that her absence would not affect her work much, and she would not have any problems. She didn't feel like driving. She decided to just walk. As she approached the pharmacy, her cell phone rang. She picked up the phone and heard her friend's voice. "Listen, I can't find shoes to match that gorgeous dress of yours. What color should I get? I don't have any. Maybe some white ones or Golubenko. How about black? White shoes would go better with this color. Then you'll need something to wear. You know, like a scarf. Well, or take a white handbag. Then it will be very chic. Blue with white looks great. Great, black's not gonna work. But blue won't really go with white either. You know what I mean? And the white shoes, I think you'll find them. But white, I think I will. Listen, Kathy, I never thought I'd be going on a date. It's such a hassle. Why? Did I say yes? I still can't figure it out. She's not being silly. You encounter your first difficulties and you get frustrated all at once. It's just that you haven't done it in a long time. That's why you're confused. So don't worry, you'll do it. By the way, after the restaurant, I demand details. You'll tell me everything, how it went. But of course, I'll come to you first. You know, I've liked this coworker of mine for a long time. But we've been looking at each other all the time. But neither of us made the first step. All of a sudden, bam, he asks me out. You know, my first impulse was to say no. But then I thought, what the hell? Why not go out? I wouldn't lose anything. But what if I could still make something of my life? There's no hope for my Christopher. He came home last night so drunk. I've never seen him like that in my life. Where does he get his money from? Maybe he got a job. Do you think after a binge like that, even if he gets a job, they'll kick him out again? That's a shame. Well, let's not talk about the sad stuff. I'm going to go buy white shoes. When I'm ready, I'll call you again. Kathy was very glad this conversation was finally over. She really didn't like to lie to anyone. She always told the truth, but she couldn't do that here. But how would she tell her friend that she herself had personally given her son money to drink? He would never forgive her for that. And it pained her very much, but she couldn't do anything else. She remembered how he had come to her yesterday so unhappy. It was obvious that he was very unhappy. Naturally, her hand went for her purse. What could she do? She really wished no one would know about it. But most likely Christopher himself would sooner or later let it slip. Then she'd have to explain herself to her friend. Of course, they might be fighting, but she would do anything to ask her forgiveness and make up with her again by buying pills at the pharmacy. If you're worried about me, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm very aware of what's going on. But like you told me the other day, we'll see each other. It's not like you're moving to the ends of the earth. We're gonna live in the same city. So what's the problem? Adriana realized that it was better not to talk to her mother on this topic, and she hurried to change the conversation to another direction. Mom, well, let's go to dinner then. I've already heated everything up and cooked it. They walked into the kitchen together, and when Kathy opened the cupboard, she saw that the bread was out. Yeah, you warm it up, daughter, you warm it up. She didn't realize we were out of bread. Okay, Mom, let me run out real quick. No, I'll do it. By the way, I skipped almost half a day of work today. Something happened. I just had a headache. I had to get some fresh air. And now I've got another headache while I'm driving through traffic. So I'm gonna go to the store to get some relief. Well, I'll set the table for now. But the manti you quickly do not linger, because I'm terribly hungry. Kathy left the apartment and already headed towards the bakery. It was not far away. They always got hot bread or other pastries there, depending on their mood. The streetlights were already coming on. Kathy walked quietly, looking around. Finally, the bakery. She walked in and breathed in the smell of freshly baked bread. She took 2 loaves and was about to pay when suddenly she heard a familiar voice nearby. Aunt. Kathy. Hello, how are you? It was Christopher. He looked terrible, of course. I could tell he was sick again. Christopher, how can you sing like that? Did you even feel sorry for your mother? You don't know how ashamed I am that I gave you money. Besides, you know how long we've been friends. She's so worried about you. I couldn't say it. To say I gave you money. Well, I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. I wanted to go to work today, to go. Yeah, I couldn't. I had a headache. I don't know what to do. If you think I'm supposed to help you, I can't help you today. I'm embarrassed enough in front of your mother. Why do you say that? You know very well I won't say anything. Christopher, don't you realize that whether you say anything or not, I don't care. I'll say this, and I'll say that. But the fact that you don't just love your health, you love hers. Have you thought about that? She cares about you. She feels bad about you drinking. Better get a job. And you'll see. And she'll come right back. Because they'll see that you're okay. What do you even understand? Kristen is not coming back to me. She left me. She fell in love with someone else. So I drink. It's good for you to talk like that. You don't have that problem. You know, you're not the only one who's been dumped in this life. Everybody's been dumped. You just have to know how to take a punch. My husband left me too with a small child. But I was smart enough not to get drunk and move on. But you're a man. You're stronger. It's good that it happened to you. But it's easier to do nothing. To complain about life and wallow in your grief. You try something different. Christopher, you'll make it work. I hate all you teachers so much. What about you? What about my mother? I say I feel bad. You understand. But you don't believe me. You think you've lived your life, don't you? Like hell I do. Everyone has a life. And everyone lives it differently. If you don't give me money, I don't need your handouts. That kind of aggression made Kathy uncomfortable. She didn't even realize what she'd said that offended Christopher. It's all true. They all didn't like him drinking, but she wouldn't let him treat her like that. And you, Christopher, don't be mean to me. You've got the wrong girl. I didn't expect this from you, of course, but now I'm telling you to stay away from me and don't come home either. Whatever happens to you now, I'm no help to you. I thought I could do better. You don't care. Live your life as you like. It's your life. I'm not gonna give you any more advice. What, you think I can't live without your advice? Yes, I can. So calm down. And in general, once again, I hate you so much I'm ready to do it myself. I will never see you again in my life." Kathy didn't say anything else. She realized that Christopher wasn't himself and that this could end badly. She paid for the bread. She turned around and went home. Her mood was badly ruined, and it was just plain unpleasant. Besides, she had never done anything bad to her best friend's son in her life. Always tried to help. What had gotten into him? She couldn't figure it out. Well, if he didn't want to communicate, let him not communicate. Betty was a pity, of course. It was her child, after all. Anyway, a mother always worries about her child. And here it is. "Mom, what's wrong? Your face is gone. Did someone hurt you?" "I ran into Christopher at the store. He's sick again. He asked for money again. He was rude to me too. You know, it's kind of embarrassing. I don't mean him any harm, but I feel like he sees me as the enemy. He sees everybody as the enemy now. You know what his situation is, don't you? The man won't pull himself together. But it's not our fault. Of course it's not our fault. But we feel sorry for him. You feel sorry for him again. He's rude, and you feel sorry for him. That's enough. Let's go to dinner. Take the bread. I'm not having dinner tonight. I don't like it. I'd better go to bed. I've had a headache all day. It doesn't feel right. Mom, maybe you should go to the hospital." "Well, if the headache doesn't go away, I probably will. Now, if you'll excuse me, you go on and get some rest. I'm gonna go to bed." The next day, Kathy felt more or less well. Betty called her again in the afternoon and said she would definitely run over to their house to tell her the news. Kathy was happy for her friend and thought that the date must have been a success. "I dropped off your dress, and it turned out to be a lucky one." "Okay, I won't say anything yet. I'll tell you in person. It's pretty clear you're doing great. You have no idea. I'm so happy for you. Honestly, I really didn't think I'd be this happy at this age. You know, Kathy, it's a good feeling. I'd forgotten what it could be like." "Well, all right. I'll see you tonight, just like Betty promised. I stopped by a friend's house." "Well, I'll have a cheka for Liege." "Yes, sure. I'll pour it. Come on in. You can't imagine how gallant he is, can you?" She started talking right away. "Plus, he told me he's liked me for a long time. Although, to be honest, I've liked him for a long time too." "Aha. That's right. You were like two adult fools who liked each other but couldn't say anything. I'm right. That's how it works. Anyway, we realized that yesterday and we decided we need to stop running away from each other and get closer. So are you gonna live with him?" "Well, no. I've decided we're just going out for now. But we'll see what happens. But there's a little bit of a catch. He wants me to live with him. I'm afraid to leave Christopher alone in the apartment. Do you know what state he's in right now? I'm afraid that one day I might be without a home. I'm afraid he'll drink it all away." "Oh, come on. I don't think your Christopher would do that. Besides, as far as I know, the apartment is in your name. He might keep the apartment, but he'd take everything out of the house." They both fell silent after that. What can you really say? It's scary to even think about it. And even more so to hear it. It's good that you have a girl. Can you rely on her? The guy's a mess. I never thought I'd have to suffer like this with Christopher. I must be being punished for something from above. I don't know. I've never done anything bad to anyone. You've got to get those thoughts out of your head. Because if you think like that, you're gonna get hurt. I think you're gonna be okay. And Christopher will come around. In the meantime, you better get on with your personal life. And then you and your coworker can talk some sense into your son. By the way, what's his name? You're a coworker and a coworker. Oh, really? I never introduced him to you. His name is John. We'll be seeing him again soon. Well, I'd like you to meet him, of course. And if I do, we'll come by your place sometime. I'll call you before we do. But if you want to do it on neutral ground, then let's make it like we met by chance. And then I'll introduce you anyway. Oh, come on. Why are you going to extremes? You can come to my place. We'll have a cup of tea, sit and talk. You know very well that I'm always home after work. All right then. I'll call you before I come over. Hey friend, why do you have such black eyes? You don't feel well. I've been feeling bad lately. My eyes have been hurting all the time. Nausea. And I don't know about the headache. I've never had a headache as bad as I have these days. It's noticeable, but I think it's time for you to go to the hospital. If you thought it was nothing at first, you'll see you need to see a doctor. Yeah, I know, but I don't really want to go. I hate hospitals. Who likes hospitals? I'm always holding out until I'm really sick. Doctors are always cursing at me. What can I do if I don't want to go to them? They're always such a hassle. Betty and Kathy talked some more. Then, seeing that her friend had another headache, she decided to go home. Well, it's just like we agreed. Anyway, I'm calling you, giving you a heads up. And John and I are coming over to your place. I'll introduce you to him. And by the way, he has a friend who I think would be great for you. Come on, Betty. You know damn well I don't want anyone. And let's just drop the subject once and for all. If I feel that I still want to live like any other woman with a man, I'll let you know first. Okay, all right then. Now get some rest, and tomorrow I want you to go to the hospital, because I'm starting to fear for you. You don't look so good. Kathy was already thinking of going to the hospital first thing in the morning. Her head was hurting so badly, and she wasn't prepared to put up with that kind of pain. But when she got up in the morning, she realized that she felt pretty good again. She decided not to go anywhere, packed up and went to work. She hadn't seen Adriana much lately. She was preparing for a session, and as far as Kathy was concerned, she and Stephen were preparing together. When she called her, her daughter told her that they practiced more often in the park because there were few people there during the day, and it was a pleasure to study in nature. Adriana had been feeling uneasy lately. She couldn't explain the feeling, but the uneasiness hadn't left her until spring. Several days in a row she had bad dreams. Stephen could see that something was going on with his girlfriend. He asked her several times what was going on, only he never heard a clear answer. I feel like you're hiding something from me. You can't do that. Remember, you and I agreed not to hide anything from each other. Stephen, I'm not hiding anything. It's just that I can't explain what's happening to me right now. You know, something's bothering me, but I can't understand what's happening to me. It's probably just you worrying about exams. I know, it happens to me a lot too. It's fine. Don't worry. You know you'll pass. But Adriana realized it wasn't about the session. It was something else, and her mom had been worrying her a lot lately. She wasn't complaining about anything, but at the same time it was obvious that she felt very bad. She had lost a lot of weight in just a couple days. Her face had shrunk a lot, and there were bruises under her eyes. I'm still very worried about my mom. Maybe it's her. Really, I ask her what's going on with her. She just keeps saying she's fine. But I don't believe her. Your mom's a strong woman. I think if she says that, she's fine. Although maybe it's the fatigue that's making her sick. How long has she been on vacation? I don't even remember my mom taking a vacation. Aren't you right, Stephen? I'll tell her to take some time off. Although I know she's not going to take a vacation right now. That's fine. Talk to her. Let her get some rest, and you'll see she'll feel better. And you know, I'm gonna call these people. She's definitely backing me up right now, because I was listening in the kitchen the other day to her telling my mom that she doesn't look good. The first thing Adriana did when she got home was to call her mother. She could have done that earlier. But even in the morning, she realized that she had left her phone at home. But her mom didn't pick up and was apparently busy, so she dialed her mom's friend's number. Betty picked up the phone and anxiously asked Adriana what was wrong. Betty, hi. Yeah, nothing's wrong. I just wanted to talk to you. But thank God, I was beginning to think it was. You see, lately I've been worried about your mom. Something's wrong with her, even though she told me she went to the hospital and they said she was fine. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I'm very worried about it too. I want my mom to rest for a couple of days. Maybe you could come over today and we could talk to her together. She needs to rest, but she won't even hear me. She says there's nothing wrong with her. Okay, Adriana. I'll be sure to come by today. You know, that's a great idea. You're doing great. I think the two of us can talk to her. After that conversation, Adriana felt a little better. She decided to clean up the house and make a nice dinner to please her mom and get in the mood to talk. Kathy walked into the study and pulled out her cell phone. She had left it in her purse because in a meeting where she had been in for almost an hour and a half, it wasn't worth coming in with it. There was a call from her daughter and someone else. She wanted to call back, but her eyes went black. The pain in her head increased again, and she passed out. She woke up in the hospital. How had she gotten here, and what had happened to her? She had no memory at all. When she turned her head, she saw someone in a white coat. "Excuse me, can you tell me where I am?" "You're awake." "That's fine. I'll have a doctor come and answer all your questions." "Adriana." He looked at his watch. Mom should have been home a long time ago. But she wasn't. She wanted to call her aunt. When she called her auntie herself, "Adriana, your mom's in the hospital. Get ready. I'll pick you up and we'll go together." "Okay. How's the hospital? What happened to her?" "Don't panic. I don't really know anything. So let's get there as soon as possible. We'll know right away. Nobody told me anything." Adriana was in a panic. Her premonition told her that everything that had happened to her in the last few days was not in vain. The main thing was that nothing would happen to her mom. The main thing was that she would be okay. The car with Betty, Adriana, and a man in it was quiet. No one was talking. Everyone was thinking about their own things. Adriana prayed quietly, realizing that if anything happened to her mother, she wouldn't survive it. They were not allowed into the room right away. They were told that the doctor was there. He would first do his own examination and then tell them whether they could visit the patient or not. Adriana strongly disliked this, but Betty calmed her down as best she could, saying that there was nothing they could do now anyway. Adriana, of course, realized that it would be much better this way. She would just have to be patient and wait. The most important thing was that Mom was healthy. "Adriana, don't worry, your mom will be fine. She's just probably overworked a little bit, and everyone needs to rest. Only your mom didn't understand that. Well, she'll realize that's not right. She'll stay in the hospital for a while, calm down, get better, and everything will be fine." "Do you really think so? Because lately I've been thinking my mom's been sick a lot. I asked her, but she wouldn't tell me anything. I think she was probably hiding it from me. And you don't know anything about it." "I don't. Your mom's really good at keeping secrets, but you see how that turned out. Even though she didn't tell us anything, we're about to find out for ourselves." Soon the doctor came out of the room. He looked at Adriana, then at Betty. "It's Kathy. I wouldn't recommend going in to see her right now. She needs her rest. My mom's in there, and you have no right to stop me." "I want to see her." "All right, you can go in and see her." "And who are you?" "I'm her friend, a close friend. We've been friends for a long time." "I see, let's go to my office. And you, young lady, you can stay with your mother for a while." Adriana entered the room, not knowing what to say and noticing that she was scared for some reason. For as long as she could remember, her mom had never been sick, and she couldn't even imagine her mom in a place like this. "Mommy, how are you feeling?" "Oh, Adriana, mine's here." "It's okay. Sweetheart, don't worry. You have a session ahead of you. You shouldn't be here. Do you need to study?" "Mom, what are you talking about? You think I can study while you're here?" "You can, of course. Do you understand? The doctor told me it's fatigue. I should have taken a vacation a long time ago, but I kept putting it off. And now this is what I got. But it's okay. I'll be out of here in a couple days. Don't worry about it. I'm sure I will." "Well, that's good then. And I promise you that I'll do my best in this session. Don't forget, I'm going for a red diploma, so I'll be fine. And Stephen and I already got jobs. His father recommended us to his management, and they said they need young people. I'm so happy for you, daughter, that you're doing so well. Now go on, kid, get some rest. You got some tough days ahead of you. You know that, right? And I need to get some rest. Mom, I'll come over with Stephen tomorrow. That's okay. No need. Please study. You have exams in 2 days, and I'll feel bad if you're with me all the time. Why don't you just take the exams and then come to the hospital whenever you want? Adriana realized it was better not to argue with her mother right now. And why make her nervous? She would come to her tomorrow night anyway, report to her, say that she had done everything, that she was ready as a replacement. At home, put away the flowers, took her to dinner, cooked something. And Mom will feel good right away. Betty sat in the doctor's office and did not know what to say to what she had just heard. Viktor Sergeyevich poured her a glass of water, handed it to her and said, "Only she asked me not to tell anyone about her diagnosis at all, especially not to let her daughter know. But I realize that it is impossible to keep silent about such a thing, so that those close to her would be ready for her departure. Believe me, there's nothing I can do. If she'd come to us, like 6 months ago, I think we could have saved her. But now, alas, there's nothing we can do. The disease is progressing like a hurricane, you know." Betty nodded. What she had just heard was a shock to her. How would she be without Kathy now? What about Adriana? Wouldn't she freak out when she found out? Of course she wouldn't say anything to her, just as she had asked Kathy to be there for Adriana, realizing what lay ahead of her. After all, losing a mother, especially to a daughter, is a very scary thing. After she left the doctor's office, she walked to Kathy's room. She didn't go in, realized that Adriana was still in there, but how would she go in to see her later? She just couldn't bear to burst into tears, and she would realize that she knew about everything. That would only make it worse for her, so she decided not to go in today. She just sat down and waited for Adriana. Soon she came out. "A little loot, will you be stopping by?" "If I have to, it won't take long." Mom said she wanted to sleep a little. "That's fine, let her rest. But you'll be at the institute tomorrow morning anyway, so we'll take turns visiting her. Now let's go. We'll take you home with John. 5 years. What did the doctor say?" "He told me what's going on with her." "Yeah, he told me there's nothing wrong. It's just your mom's a little fractured." At this point, Betty didn't know where to put her eyes. She didn't know how to lie, and she realized that if Adriana looked at her now, she would know right away. "Betty, you're certainly not lying to me. Mom's really going to be okay." "Of course your mom's strong. She'll be fine. Now let's go. You're tired. I've had a lot of stress today. We should get some rest. And to be honest, I was pretty freaked out today." "You're right. I didn't realize it was so scary. Illness is always scary. Adriana wouldn't wish it on anyone, especially when it's your nearest and dearest." Betty arrived home and went straight to the kitchen. She didn't know where to put herself. She had only one thought in her head: to drink something, so that she wouldn't think about anything else. But she didn't have any alcohol in the house, and even if she had, Christopher would probably have drunk it long ago. He was home tonight, as luck would have it. Betty hadn't talked to him much lately. What was there to talk about? It was clear her son didn't want to change his life. "Why are you like this?" "Something wrong. Something happened. Kathy went to the hospital." "Why worry about it? I was sick a while ago too, but you didn't even treat me." "She said I'll be fine. She'll be fine." "I see. She doesn't have much time left. Maybe a month, maybe 3 days. And don't you talk to me like that. Ungrateful." Christopher gave his mother an angry glare and went back to his room. "I'm actually waiting for you to go finally from this apartment to your hole, because I can't see you anymore," he shouted from his room. Betty sat down at the table and covered her face with her hands. She no longer paid attention to her son. His words didn't move her at all. She was hurting for Kathy. She couldn't even imagine that soon she wouldn't be with her. What if the doctor was wrong? Kathy, she's strong. She'll pull through. At least for her daughter's sake. That thought felt good. It warmed her soul, and Betty went to her room to go to bed. Tomorrow she would visit her, talk to her, tell her that they all hoped for her and that they wanted her to get well. Adriana and Stephen left the institute and walked towards her house. She lived not far away, and she liked it very much. Her mother had bought this apartment with the expectation that kindergarten and school would be near, and it turned out that the institute she wanted to go to was also close by. Adriana was also nearby. Stephen, you'll stay with me for a while. And then none. I think it's no fun to keep my mom in my head. I'm so scared for her. I know when my mom got sick, I almost went crazy too. I remember that for a long time I resented my father, who never even came to visit her in the hospital. He only called her on the phone. That's weird. I saw your dad. He seemed like a very nice man. And your mom's a wonderful woman. And when you start talking about your family, I can't believe how bad they are. Yeah, no one does. I know why love happens. Because they don't have it for each other. That's all. It was a mistake not to split up, because then they wouldn't have tortured anyone else. Well, I'm tired of telling them that. Let them deal with it. We went to see your mom today. Of course we did. Even though she told us not to visit her, Betty came to the hospital to talk to her friend. She'd been up all night, thinking about the right thing to do. Should she tell her friend she knew everything? Or like yesterday with Adriana, hide everything? In the morning, she realized she still hadn't decided what she should do. After calling work, Betty scrambled to get to the hospital. Opening the door of the room, she looked at a pale Kathy, who was no longer asleep but staring pensively out the window. Her heart twitched, but Betty pulled herself together and decided not to show her that she knew everything. What's up? Hello, friend. You gave us quite a scare last night. I can't do that. I'll tell you too. You should have seen what happened to us last night. Kathy turned her head and smiled. And there's no need to be scared. I'm fine. Just a little overworked. A little to you, maybe. But for us, the whole thing was, frankly, a blow. As soon as I got the call from the hospital, I almost fainted. Good thing John was there to get me some water. I can see you're doing great with John. I'm very happy for you. He just proposed to me. I wanted to tell you yesterday, but you didn't have time. I'm happy for you, Betty. Do you deserve it? I think you're gonna make it with him. How's Christopher? He's just as bad, even worse. He's become completely unbearable. He walks around the apartment angry. Doesn't do anything, doesn't go to work. It's a nightmare. I feel sorry for the guy. I don't know what happened to him. It's like he's been replaced. I mean, he's never been like this before. I don't know, Kathy. I don't know what happened. Did he love Christina so much that he can't get over it? Okay, why are we talking about me? Yeah, it's about me. Why don't you tell me how you're feeling? I'm fine. I'm really feeling a lot better. The doctor said I need a couple more days and then I'll be discharged. Betty almost cried. She knew what Kathy was talking about. Of course they would, because the doctor had told her yesterday that they couldn't help her. That's fine. Then when you're discharged, you and I will go to John's cottage. I've already been there. You can't imagine how beautiful it is there. We'll get some fresh air and relax. You'll love it there. Okay, let's go. I'll go. In the evening, Adriana and Stephen came to visit Kathy. Though she asked not to come, she realized that in this case her daughter obeyed her, although she was very grateful to her for it. After all, she loved her so much and had likely seen her last days. Good thing it wasn't a friend, not her daughter. Didn't know about anything because she didn't need their tears. Mom, you're not mad at me for listening to you. I've been studying with Stephen all day, so I think it's okay that we came. Really? Besides, I really miss you. I'm not used to not having you around. It's okay. I'll be out of here in a couple days. I hope you have a good session. Everything will be fine. Mom, Betty called me today, and said you're going to the country and you want us to come with you. Stephen and I agree. Well, that's great. We'll have a good time, and the fresh air will do you good. You haven't been out of town in years, have you? You're right, daughter. This will really do me good. They never went to the cottage. Kathy died a week later. She hadn't even been released from the hospital, even though she wanted to be. Adriana lost track of time. Everything was a blur, and the thought that her mother was no longer with her. She didn't know what to do next. It was good that Stephen and Betty, who was just as worried as Adriana, were there for her. Those were hard days. Christopher did not understand how he should go on with his life. His relationship with his mother had soured completely. And with her friend and Kathy, who had always helped him out, he had ruined the relationship himself. He couldn't understand what had gotten into him. It was like he was possessed. He'd lost all his friends lately. They'd all turned their backs on him. He realized he had to do something, but he couldn't do anything. He tried to win Christina back again, but it was too late. She had actually met a real man who loved her and whom she loved. Seeing that he was not succeeding at all, he started drinking again. It seemed to him that then he was relieved that the problems, even if for a short time, but go to the background. But the relief was short-lived. As soon as the effect of the alcohol passed, the longing came over him again. Once again, he did not know what to do next, and he was again looking for money to go to the store. The stores would not lend him any more money, if earlier still went towards the sellers. Well, who knew him well? Now all everywhere was a refusal. That day he sat at home. He thought again that he should get a job, but lately it had been useless. Apparently, it was already obvious from him that he was drinking heavily, and no one wanted to get involved with him. At that moment he heard the door slam and his mother crying. He jumped out of the room to see what happened. I knew it. You shouldn't have messed with that guy, your coworker. He's the one who hurt you. Mother looked at him and turned away. What's wrong with your eyes again? You don't see anything. Nobody hurt me. It's just that Kathy's not with us anymore. What do you mean? No? What moved away? No, she didn't move away. She just died. Christopher couldn't believe what he was hearing. He never would have thought Kathy would leave. I mean, she's so young. She's got her whole life ahead of her. And now this. Mom, calm down. I can do something to help, but Betty wouldn't calm down. She still couldn't believe what had happened. It was out of line. For the first time in her life, she didn't know what to do, how to behave, where to go. But then, remembering Adriana, she pulled herself together, realizing that this girl needed her now more than anyone. She started to get dressed again to go to her. Mom, where are you going? But Betty didn't answer anything. I'm going with you. I don't want to leave you alone like this. Adriana couldn't believe that her mom was no longer with her. She didn't know what was happening, who was with her. She only felt Betty, who had been by her side almost all the time. It's okay, sweetie. It's going to be okay. Trust me, your mom's in a much better place right now. How is she better? After all, the doctor said it's nothing serious, that she's just overexcited, tired. You don't die from that. I'm gonna sue them for ruining my mom. The doctor, it's just that Kathy asked us not to say anything, but your mother had cancer. Terminal, which had already spread through her body at breakneck speed. There was nothing you could do. Betty didn't have the courage to tell Adriana that she knew everything, that the doctor had warned her that Kathy was quite ill. She realized that if she told Adriana that she knew everything, the girl would not forgive her. Kathy was brought home briefly so that she could say goodbye. All the neighbors knew her. Everyone loved and respected her. She was a wonderful person. And so Betty and Adriana decided to make sure the neighbors had a chance to see their neighbor off on her last journey as well. Christopher navedded as people come in and out and wondered what else he could do to help. Mom didn't pay any attention to him. She was constantly by Adriana's side. He woke up from his thoughts and realized that there was no one in the room where Kathy was lying. So he decided to go in himself and apologize for the time he had hurt her. He walked closer and a beautiful ring caught his eye. It was antique and looked very rich. Kathy had never taken it off. It was obvious that it was very expensive. The thought immediately flashed through his mind that this ring could solve all his problems. He would pay off his debts, which he had already accumulated a lot. He would clean himself up. He would leave town for a couple of days, and then he would come back with new strength and would be able to get a job. After all, Kathy didn't need that ring, but he could use it. He didn't know what came over him, but he went over and took it off her cold hand. Kathy. A week after the funeral, Christopher decided to sell the ring. He went to an acquaintance of his who bought up such things. "Hello, Robert. I'm here to see you. What do you need me for? Because you know very well I don't lend money. Besides, you still owe me. I thought you weren't gonna show up. Yeah, I'm not worried about the case. Look what I brought you. You can buy it." Christopher took out a ring and showed it to Robert. He looked at it carefully and said, "You know very well that I don't buy stolen goods. That's what you're telling me. That's all you do is buy stuff up. And you used to not care if they were stolen or not. This ring is fine. I didn't steal it. So don't worry. It's my mother's. She doesn't wear it. And she doesn't want to wear it. She doesn't like it. I just thought it'd be wasted if I prayed on it. And I need the money now. Don't you talk to me like that. Any woman would love a ring like that. And believe me, she'd love to wear it. So, I repeat, I'm not taking it. I feel like you stole it. And I don't want no trouble with the law. Why don't you go to a pawn shop and turn it in? Maybe they'll take it. I don't think so. Because they'll ask you for IDs. And if it comes out that it was stolen, they'll find you." Christopher felt uncomfortable after saying that. He thought of Adriana. And if indeed she will remember about him, only as she will remember. She did not remember about him then, and now even more so. After all, she thinks he was buried with his mother, so there shouldn't be a problem. "Oh, that's great. Thank you for the advice. I just came to you as a friend, thinking you'd take it from me. But if you don't have to." Christopher could see that Robert was hesitating after saying that. "Let me see the ring again." Christopher handed over the ring, already mentally happy that he finally got rid of it. Besides, it was starting to bother him lately. He started dreaming about Kathy. She didn't say anything to him in his dreams. She just looked at him with a kind of pity and longing. And that look would make him wake up in a cold sweat. "It's a really nice ring. I'm sorry, Christopher. I'm not gonna take it from you after all. I don't know. It's kind of cold. And I don't feel like if I buy it from you, I'll get in trouble, and I don't want that." Christopher sighed. He was sure Robert would take it after all, but he refused. So he took the ring and drove back. On the way, he thought about where he could put it in the pawn shop. For some reason, after what Robert had said, he didn't want to go. He didn't know why, but he was getting scared. His heart began to pound, and it seemed as if he had committed some crime for which he would have to answer sooner or later. He saw a pawn shop and decided to go there. But it was as if something stopped him at the door. He turned around and went home. The ring was in his pocket, and he did not understand how to get rid of it. A kind of fear settled in his soul, clammy, cold. What to do now and how to be? Christopher did not know at all. The thought of throwing it away flashed through his mind. But greed got the upper hand, and he decided to think hard about where he could sell it. In the evening, he went out again. He didn't understand what was happening to him, but he couldn't stay at home, especially when his mom came home from work. Christopher could not look her in the eye. It seemed that she would guess everything at once. He went behind the house, where he saw his acquaintances, with whom he often socialized. They were always meeting there. "Hello, Christopher. How are you? Haven't seen you in a while. What's going on with you? You haven't been in touch with us at all. Did you get a job again?" "No, I just haven't said hello lately. So you've been holed up at home. Well, that makes sense. Well, sit down. We'll pour you a glass. For old time's sake." Christopher drank a shot and looked at his friends. He felt a little warmer. Then he decided to ask if they knew where to sell the expensive thing. "Why do you bother? Just take it to a pawn shop. Pawn shops check it out. And if it's stolen, they'll find it right away." "No, you have to take it to an antique dealer." Kevin. He likes expensive things. Plus, he does everything right. Buys up everything. But he never gets caught. He'll give you a slightly lower price, though. But that's okay. You'll have money. "Is the stuff real?" "It's expensive." "Yes, one ring. My mom doesn't like it. She doesn't wear it. So I decided to sell it to a pawn shop." "Take it to your mother. Even if she notices it's missing, she'll know it's you. She won't have to report you to the police. And show us the ring too. We'll take a look. Maybe it's not worth it to Kevin. He only likes antiques. There's a reason they call him the antique dealer. Not with me, but he left it at home. I'm not going out with such an expensive item. I was just thinking where I could sell it to get good money for it. But I'll go to that tomorrow then." Kevin. "I think he can help me out." "All right, guys, thanks for the tip. I owe you one. So as soon as I get my money, I'll come straight to you." "Well, then we'll be waiting for you. Don't forget your friends." Christopher went home, and on the way he thought that tomorrow he would definitely go to Kevin. He knew where he lived and thought that he would definitely buy this thing from him. 3 months passed. Stephen drove up to Adriana's house and sighed. After Kathy died, Adriana had said right away that the wedding would have to be forgotten for now. Stephen realized that she was right, in fact, because it was no time to be happy. What saddened him was that after Kathy's departure, Adriana seemed to have lost the joy of life. Today, as soon as he entered the apartment and saw that she was crying again. "Adriana, well, that's enough of the heart-wrenching. You realize you're only making your mom worse with your tears. Besides, I remember you telling me that your mom didn't like it when you cried." "I know. I just dreamed about her again today, holding out her hand to me, saying something I didn't understand. Maybe she's calling me to her." "Oh, really? Did your mom love you that much?" "She would never have asked you to come with her. You know that. She only wants you to be happy. You probably just didn't understand her." At that time, the doorbell rang. Stephen looked at Adriana in surprise. "You're expecting someone?" "Yeah, it's probably Betty. She knows it's my day off. She's probably here with John to see me." Indeed, as soon as Stephen opened the door, he saw both Betty and John. Lately, he had become involved with the man, realizing that people were lucky to have him. He was a very kind man, understanding, and it was obvious how much he loved Betty. "Stephen, it's good to have you here. Adriana can't be left alone yet," he told him quietly by the door. "Betty goes crazy when she has a day off. She's afraid for the girl. How is she today? How long have you been here?" "Just about 10 minutes ago she was crying again. Said she was dreaming about her mom." "Poor girl. We'll cheer you up. Let's go to the country house. The weather's beautiful. I think you should get a little change of scenery. It'll do us all good." "I agree with you completely. As long as Adriana agrees, we'll talk her into it." They entered the room and saw that Betty was already talking to Adriana. They listened to the conversation, and there was nothing in her hand. No, she didn't. Besides, she showed it to me not palm up, but the other way around, and there was something glinting on her finger. And Betty wondered. She didn't understand what could be sparkling on Kathy's finger. Besides, what it could even mean. Then it hit her. She remembered their conversation when she was going on her date with John. And to that blue dress. "You won't give me your ring, you have it with the chauffeur. I mean, it would go perfectly with that dress." "No, I can't give it to you. It's a family heirloom that's been passed down from generation to generation. And when my daughter gets married, I'll pass it on to her. I hear your mother had a ring on her finger. Remember, with that blue sapphire. I always liked it very much. And your mother never took it off. She told me then that she was going to give it to you when you got married. You saw it on your mother's hand. Well, of course, she never took it off." "No, at the funeral. I saw it on her hand. I don't remember, Betty. Believe me, I didn't have time for that. I'm sorry, girl, that's not what I meant. The men listened to the conversation, and when John realized what they were talking about, they said she didn't have a ring on her finger. That's exactly what I remember. Everyone looked at him, trying to figure out where it might have gone. Adriana, why don't you look through Mom's things? Maybe it's in there. She probably wants you to wear it, but there's no stuff. You told me to give them all away so I'd have nothing left in the house. There's her costume jewelry and some gold jewelry, but it's still in a box in her room. Come on, let's go check it out. Maybe she put it there. And now she wants you to take it and put it on. They went into the room and took out the box. When they opened it, they realized the ring wasn't there. I don't get it. So she never took it off. Then where did it go? Maybe the hospital took it off her and then forgot to give it back to her. That's when Stephen stepped in. I remember when we took the body from the hospital. I remember the ring clearly. And then when we brought her home here, I didn't notice it then. But I did, John said again, and I remember perfectly well that there was no ring on her hand. Everyone fell silent. Everyone was thinking about where the ring might have gone. If you think about what Stephen John had said, it worked out. The ring had gone missing right here, when Kathy was in the house and when the neighbors were saying goodbye to her. How could that have occurred to her? It's crazy to steal a ring. My God, nothing is sacred at all. What are we gonna do now? It turns out my mom is telling me to find that ring. Is that what it looks like? How so? Where am I supposed to find it when I don't even understand or know who could have taken it in the first place? All right, girls, let's go to the cottage. I think we could all use some fresh air right now. And then we'll see what we can do next. John agreed. On the way to the cottage, they were silent. Adriana was the first one who couldn't take it. Betty, how are you doing up there? How's Christopher? I haven't seen him in a while. I don't know what's going on with my son. He's gotten a little weird and skittish. At night he screams and moans, but at least there's one thing I'm glad about. He seems to have stopped drinking. It's good that he quit. It's about time. He's a big, smart man, and he's gone downhill so fast. I'm sorry, Betty. It's not your fault, of course. It's just that sometimes boys really need a father more than a mother. But don't be nervous. I think it'll get better. He'll get your head on straight, and everything will be all right again. You don't think I understand, do you? Yeah, I think he needs a girl. He'll love you when everything falls into place at once. It's just a shame that no one will love him. Who needs him now? Don't worry, he'll recover quickly. The main thing is that he finally realized that it is impossible to live like this, and that he needs to change everything radically. It was beautiful at the cottage. Adriana and Stephen went to the river. Betty said that they should take a walk while they were cooking dinner because both of them were pale and didn't want to eat. That won't do. And Adriana, try not to think about anything right now. Take a little rest, enjoy nature. You'll see you'll feel better right away. Good one, Betty. I do feel better. Come on, Stephen, to the river. It's beautiful there. They walked in silence, holding hands. The river was really beautiful. They sat down on the bank and looked at the water. It's true that growling is soothing. That's for sure. Listen, Adriana, I want to talk to you. Let's just move in together. I realize we don't have time for a wedding or any fun right now. What I propose we do is we apply and register. That's it. And we can get married later, whenever you want. I just want you to understand that I can't be without you. I want to be around you all the time. And when I think of you alone in the house all the time, my heart bleeds. Are you afraid for me? I feel fine at home. I'm not afraid of anything, because I realize that nothing terrible will happen. My mother loved me very much. I understand perfectly well that she protects me now too, as she did when she was alive. But I will think about your proposal. Answer I'll tell you tomorrow. Well, I just don't feel like thinking about anything at all right now. Stephen did not argue. It was enough for him. They spent the day beautifully. In the evening, they decided not to return to the city, but to stay the night. They built a fire, sat around it, and reminisced. I remember Kathy was taking me out on a date, said at the time that I would succeed, that I was worthy of happiness. I didn't believe her at the time. I thought that at my age, nothing would ever work out. But she was right. I'm so happy, it's scary sometimes. I didn't even know Kathy. I realized then that she was a wonderful person. It's a shame she didn't have a decent man by her side. She loved my father very much. And when he left us, she realized she didn't need anyone else. We talked to her a lot about it, and she said that she had never met anyone like him in her life, and she didn't like anyone else. It's just that your mom was a one lover who fell in love with one man once and for all. Only he didn't realize it. By the way, did you ever hear from your father again? No, he never came back into our lives, and he never visited me. So I have no idea where he might be. To be honest, I don't feel like talking to him, because to apply a woman like my mom to another, well, only a man weak, maybe. Although, I could be wrong. But your mom would have accepted him. Trust me. Sometimes it seems to me that she waited all these years, only believing that he would come back to her after all. Christopher woke up in a cold sweat again. It wasn't funny anymore. Kathy was dreaming about him every night now. No, the dreams were not scary at all. But for some reason, Christopher felt very bad after them. At first, he couldn't understand. Why did he feel so bad? And then he realized. It was just a guilty conscience about what he'd done. Kathy asked him in his dreams to give the ring back to his daughter, but he couldn't do it. And tonight, he had the strangest dream of all. Kathy advised him to take the ring to an antique store. She said that if he did that, he would be fine. And then lastly, she said that if he did that again, his life would go downhill. Finally waking up, he drank some water and thought about the fact that Kathy had given him some kind of chance that he just had to take. He also remembered well her last words, that if he did that again, all was lost. And he had decided then that he would do exactly as she had told him. The right thing to do, of course, was to give the ring to Adriana, but he couldn't do that. He realized that then no one would understand him, and everyone would turn away from him. He clearly remembered the store Kathy had shown him in his dream. He had never seen it and thought it was probably just a fantasy, but he decided to check it out. The next day, he decided to walk a little and look for something similar in those antique shops that he knew he had already been to. But no one bought the ring from him, which, by the way, he was very surprised. He thought at the time that it was some kind of reservation, and after another refusal, he wanted to get rid of it, but he couldn't throw it away. He didn't realize where he was going. People were walking around, hurrying somewhere. He was walking, thinking that he must be going crazy. If he didn't find anything today, he would probably just go to Adriana and give it to her, and then whatever happens there. Suddenly, he was interested in an unremarkable sign that said it was an antique shop. He went in and offered the ring. They took it from him and gave him a very nice sum of money. He could not believe that he finally got rid of the ring when he left the store. He realized that now everything would be different for him, and that he would start his life anew. The image of Aunt Kathy flashed through his mind. She was smiling, and he realized that she was just helping him once again, as she always did. After Adriana had agreed to Stephen's proposal, he had perked up. They applied, and he then decided to buy a nice ring. Since they were now engaged, it took him a long time to figure out what kind of ring to get her. Adriana was generally indifferent to jewelry. She had told him then that she would wear only one engagement ring on her finger. But some feeling pushed him to buy her something unusual. He didn't know where he got the idea from. That day he was driving to work through the center. When the sign of an antique shop caught his eye, he decided to go in, even though he was sure he was doing it for nothing, because he probably wouldn't find what he wanted there. When he entered the shop, he looked around and realized that everything had turned out as he thought and decided to leave. But suddenly he saw something unusual. When he came closer, he saw a ring, sapphires. It was beautiful. He liked it at once, though it seemed familiar for some reason. He could not remember where he had seen it, but he had no doubt that he had found what he was looking for. 15 minutes later, he walked out, smiling happily. For some reason, he thought Adriana would like this ring very much. Adriana calmed down. She didn't dream about her mom anymore, and she had a taste of life again. Recently, they had talked to Betty again and had come to the conclusion that they had probably buried the ring with Kathy. Understandably, everyone was upset that day, and it probably seemed to John at the time that there was no ring. You know, we were talking about it the other day, and he's not sure anymore. He says it probably was. It was just his head spinning. He could have imagined it. It's no big deal. I get it. My mom didn't tell me anything about it. She just knew it was passed down from generation to generation, but I didn't think she'd give it to me. Well, if that's the way it happened, it's okay. And I'm not mad at my mom. Yeah, that's understandable. Adriana, your mom wanted to live. She made plans. She thought she could still make it. Today, Adriana had guests at home. They weren't very many, though. John, Betty, Stephen, and his parents are coming. They'd decided to celebrate the engagement quietly, just as a family. Betty arrived early to help Adriana set the table. But my goodness, you're about to get married. Oh, that's great. I'm glad things are working out for you. Stephen is a very nice guy. I think you'll be very happy with him. I think so too. By the way, where's Christopher? Isn't he coming? No, he got a job, you know, on a rotational shift. He left. He calls me every day, says he likes everything, and that he'll come home soon, but not alone. He met a girl and fell in love. Oh, I'm so happy for him. I think he'll be fine now. He says hello to you and congratulations. He's very happy for you. And you give him my regards and congratulations. I'm very happy for him too. It's great when everything is good. Betty, thank you so much for not leaving me. You're like a second mom to me. If you weren't here, I don't know what I'd do. You don't have to say that, Adriana. You know you're the closest thing I have to a mom. I know how you felt when Kathy was gone. I felt it, too. It was very painful. Now let's talk about you. It's the kind of day you're going to stay at your place, isn't it? Yeah, I don't want to go anywhere. My mom signed this apartment over to me a long time ago, so there's no problem. And we don't need to rent now that we have our own place. You're right. It's nice to have a place to live. I've decided to give the apartment away too. Let him live there with his girlfriend. I moved in with John a long time ago. We're good together. Oh, I'm so happy for you. John is a very nice man. Soon the guests began to arrive, and everything was ready. Stephen was a little late, stuck in traffic, but he arrived soon after. It was obvious that he had prepared some kind of surprise, but he didn't say anything to anyone yet. After everyone sat down at the table and congratulated the young ones, Stephen smiled, stood up, and took out a box. Adriana, I know very well that you are not very fond of jewelry, but for your engagement, I have to give you a ring. I've been thinking and choosing for a long time, because I really want you to wear it always. And I think I've chosen it. Look at it. I think you will like it very much. Adriana took the box, smiled at Stephen, and opened it. But the smile immediately disappeared from her face. She turned pale and almost fainted because her eyes even got a little darker. Stephen grabbed her elbow, seeing how she had woken up so far. Adriana, what's wrong with you? You don't feel well. And Adriana couldn't get a word out because her mother's ring was lying in front of her. Betty ran over to Adriana to help her. And when she looked at the box, she almost fell too. She grabbed a chair and started to fall. This is when John joined in to help his beloved. No one could understand what had happened. Everyone looked at Adriana and Betty in surprise. When everyone felt a little better, the first question was to Stephen, where he got the ring. He explained in detail where he had bought it. He added that it had looked vaguely familiar to him at the time too. So it turns out it was stolen after all. But by who? How could this person do such a thing? Everyone had already decided to go to that antique store to find out the details and find that person. But Adriana refused. Betty, why go anywhere? I don't need to go. Just let it stay that way. I have the ring, just like my mom wanted me to have. I don't want to know about the rest. I don't want to know about the rest. We don't know what will happen when we find out. Maybe it will only make things worse for all of us. After some thought, everyone agreed with Adriana. She was happy. She even felt relieved. After all, her mom really wanted her to have the ring. After all, family traditions should not be broken, and this ring should be passed on from generation to generation.
Subscribe and click the bell.
Camille was often home alone. She was so tired of it that she wanted someone to be there for her. Her mother was always at the office. She worked as a bookkeeper for the village council, so she often stayed late. Camille, are you asleep? Did a woman come in the house? No, she came out of her room. Then let's have dinner. She put the groceries from her bag on the table. Okay, why did you take so long again today? Look, that's what I get paid for. I need to make sure there are no mistakes. The woman didn't like the subject. Good. Her daughter agreed with her. They ate and then went to bed. In the morning, the girls had to go to school, and the mother had to get up for work again. Hello. Stephen met her on the way. Hello. Camille. I liked him. How are you? He picked up the girl's briefcase. Fine. She was coloring. We'll go out tonight, he asked simply. Okay, they were already approaching the school porch. But what did he say to you? Evelyn's best friend came up to her. Nothing. She was still staring at the guy's back. Well, Camille, tell me, it was interesting. Is it okay that we're going out tonight? The girl confessed. Did you say yes to that? Evelyn was sure that Camille would torment him for a long time. How much longer? School will be over soon. He'll just leave, and I'll be left with my pride. She was sure of it. Look at you. Anybody could take you. She was sure of it. Thank you for the compliment, of course. But I wish it was Stephen. She blushed again. They went to class, and lessons began. But Camille didn't care about them. She thought only of the young man. The class dragged on slowly. It was boring. Finally, everything was over. The girl went out into the schoolyard, but Stephen was not there waiting. Caught up with her Camille. Leave me alone. Could not bear to be under the floorboards of her friend Camille any longer. She went home for lunch and decided to do her homework. She couldn't think of anything to do. She looked out the window every now and then. When it was 6:00 p.m., he came. At first, Camille wanted to run out to meet him, but after a moment she thought that would be rash. Sitting back down on the table, there was a knock on the window. Camille looked out, smiled, and shook her head to indicate that she was about to come out. Hi. He was grinning from ear to ear. Why so happy? Though shy, she spoke confidently. I saw you. He didn't hide the fact that he liked the girl. Let's go. She smiled and pulled him by the hand. They went to the riverbank. It was a favorite place for all young people. But Stephen and Camille did not want anyone to see them. They decided to go further to the fisherman's cottage, which had long been abandoned. Come here. He gave her a hand so she wouldn't fall through on the bridge, where the boards were already cursed. Thank you. She jumped to the ground and fell right into his arms. Now he went to the doors and tried to open them, but nothing worked. Then Stephen took a piece of iron that was lying here on the ground, slipped it under the boards, piled on, and the door held nothing. Camille could only say. They stepped inside. The place smelled of musty netting. There were old nets around, dirty rags, some kind of mattress. Come here, the boy beckoned her. They laid that very mattress against the wall with another flake thrown on it. They made themselves comfortable. Across from where they sat there was a small window that overlooked part of the trees and the sky. Beautiful. Camille sat in Stephen's arms. "Like you," he whispered in her ear. "What?" She laughed and turned to him. "You're beautiful." He touched her hair that had gotten out of its ponytail. Their faces were very close together. Stephen couldn't help himself. He kissed Camille. "You what?" She got away from him and blushed. "I love you." He held her hands. "What are you saying? What kind of love can there be at our age?" She said it. She didn't want him to let her go. "Come to me." He pressed down on her chest again. She could smell him. She liked him. Stephen stroked her head, her back, her neck. They were nice touches. He leaned in, kissed her. First on her temple, then on her shoulder, then down to her neck. Camille froze. The guy just stroked her and kissed her. "I can't." She made him do it. What was he like coming to his senses? She turned on her back, planted her lips on his. Stephen leaned into her. It was an unusual feeling. The young people gave in to an impulse of tenderness. They were both inexperienced and did everything out of inertia. "I will never leave you," he whispered to her. "I love you," she answered him. They lay like that on the old mattress for a long time. Stephen held her in his arms. Camille drowned in those arms. It was time to go home. He kissed her. Yes. She stood up and looked at him and smiled. They walked out of the cabin, closing the door to make it look like it was like that. Stephen walked along with Camille to her house until he came close to her and said, "This is Stephen's hair." She hugged him until tomorrow. He kissed her on the cheek as if he was afraid someone would see. Camille walked into the house. She couldn't believe all that had happened. Her body was burning. She could still remember kissing Stephen. "What were you looking at her like that for?" "Emily." What girl didn't understand? "I don't know." The woman shrugged. "You don't know, but you ask." The girl was embarrassed. It seemed to her that everyone could see and understand what had happened to her today. She lay on the bed and thought about her boyfriend, and she had never felt so good before. She thought it was for life. Now they would graduate from high school, and a whole different life would begin. Stephen would be the master of their family and home. "Hi." He caught up with her the next day on her way to school. "Hello." She came up to him. But the guy didn't hug her for some reason. Later, he looked around again. "I feel like you're embarrassed of me." She was offended. "What are you saying?" He took her hand. They walked to the school. Stephen went back to his friends, and Camille stayed standing by the porch. "Hi." Evelyn came up behind her. Scared her, her friend turned to her. "Why are you cursing like that?" "Am I so scary?" The girl laughed. "Oh, Evelyn, don't start." Camille looked at where her lover was standing. "What's wrong with him?" The girlfriend was also looking in the same direction as Camille. "Look at him. Isn't he handsome?" She said it with fondness. "Girlfriend, I see we've lost you. You're gone." "You've made your point, Evelyn." The bell rang and all the boys entered the school building. In class, they didn't want to think about anything but the young man. Camille remembered her feelings from the day before. It had been inexpressible. When the lessons were over, she hurried towards the exit. She didn't want the boy to leave without her. But she didn't have time, because Stephen was nowhere to be found. That skittered away already laughed by her friend behind her back. "Evelyn, leave me alone." It hurt Camille that he did not wait for her, and she found home alone. But when she had only a few meters to go, she heard someone calling her. "Why are you hiding here?" She came to the bushes. Where did Stephen call her from? "I'm not hiding from you. I'm waiting." He seemed offended. So there she was. She's in front of him. "You come here." He beckoned her to him. Now Camille looked around, and York to where her boyfriend was. "To what you're looking back," he laughed. "Shut up." She blushed again. Yes, she realized now what she was so embarrassed about, Stephen. The village was small. Everyone knew each other. There was no need for anyone to tell her mother about them. "Come on." He winked at her. "Okay. Let's at least leave the bags at home." She looked at her large briefcase. "Okay." They walked down the path that led to the girl's house. There they ditched. "I'll show you." and headed to the house where they'd spent time yesterday. Sorry, he tucked a strand behind her ear as they lay back on the same mattress. It was okay. She loved being around him so much. That's how it would always be. Would you like to be my wife? The young man asked. He leaned back. Would you take it? She doubted it. First of all, it was still short summer. And secondly, they had only been dating for a couple of days. Why not? Here graduated from school, went somewhere, and then you can think about marriage. He spoke dreamily. Camille realized that it would happen, but not so soon. So she forbade herself to think about it. He turned to her and embraced her. She brought her face close to his. You're so beautiful. He began to kiss her. I love you. She responded to those kisses. Again today, they spent the whole day in their private place. Camille was free to come and go from the house. No one knew where or with whom she was. Her mother, as always, was very busy, so the daughter did what she wanted. But until tomorrow, they said goodbye at the gate. The mother entered the girl's house, but there was silence in return. They started going out with Stephen. No girlfriends, walks and discos Camille didn't need anymore. She wanted to be only with him. She saw nothing else. Why don't you get up? Their mother came to them in the morning. I can't. I feel sick, Camille answered. I see something very pale. Emily touched her head. I'm not going. For school today, Camille bowed her head off the bed. She spun around nicely, petted her mother. The woman left and Camille remained lying in the bed. It was a pity only one thing she would not meet Stephen. But the girl was wrong. Already in the afternoon, he was outside her house. Camille shouted to him at the gate. She heard, but could not even get up to open to him. The guy did not hesitate, stuck his hand in the hole, pulled the deadbolt, and entered the yard unhindered. You're home. He was already in the kitchen. Come in. He heard from the room where the girl was lying. What's wrong? Did he see that she didn't say hello? I don't know. She lay on her back, but at that moment a fit of nausea came up to her throat again. To sit with you, he came closer, and if you don't mind me saying so, it was immediately different with him. The nausea receded a little, even the poverty was gone. He sat down on the edge of the bed, took Camille's hand in his. It was cold. Why are you all friendly? He was worried about her. I can't say. She looked up at him. Maybe the doctor's. Was he ready to run to the nurse's station? No, don't. It'll get worse. I'll go myself. She stopped him. So they sat there until the evening. The girl felt better. She even got up. They drank tea. I have to go. Stephen hugged the girl. Camille continued to study. Sometimes she felt as bad as that time. Don't you think you eat too much? The other night she asked Emily, Mom, are you going to reproach me with food? I couldn't believe it, could you? No, look at the way she did it. The woman pointed to her waist area. Camille noticed it herself. Her favorite skirts and dresses didn't fit her. She was nervous about it, but she put it down to the fact that she had been eating more lately. And you are ready, not so tasty. The girl laughed. That's what you said. Mom smiled affectionately at her daughter. But by spring it became noticeable that this fullness is not just for nothing. Come here. Her mother called her then. What? Camille came up to her. The woman pulled up the dress her daughter was wearing. Not for nothing the neighbor told me that. Emily clutched her head. Mom, what were you looking at? At her and your belly. Are you stupid? You don't understand anything. She pointed her finger. No. Why? Camille began to suspect something wrong, but she was afraid to even think about it. You're pregnant. Where did she go out? The woman asked. Mommy. The girl cried. She sat down on the stool that stood next to her. What, Mom? Hugged her daughter and cried. Emily. Stephen. Camille did not look at her, seeing him here. What a bunch of students. The woman was indignant. Now a girl came out of the house. I don't understand what happened. She dragged Stephen by the hand to her house. You'll understand now. Camille was angry with him. Well, Vitek, what shall we do? The woman stood by the feathers with her hands at her sides. "What am I to you, Vitek?" That looked at Camille, and he was scared. "And who else? Are you going to have a child soon?" She pointed at her daughter that he sat down and covered his eyes with his hands. "How am I going to face the neighbors now? They will say that with my work I have abandoned my daughter." The woman screamed. "I don't know how it could have happened." Stephen was confused. He didn't know where to look. "But I know how to hit on girls, so he knows. But how do you answer for it?" She didn't finish. "What do we do now?" The guy was talking to Camille's mom. "It's like it never happened. What do we do?" "Do what?" "Play the wedding," Emily said firmly. "But we're still in school." He went back to doing whatever it was he was doing. So school was not brought up. The woman went to her room. "How?" he whispered to Camille silently. She was shocked by everything that was happening. It was necessary to inform her parents. But how to do it? The guy had absolutely no idea. He didn't want to go home that day, but he didn't have to say anything to anyone. When Stephen entered the house, his mother and father were sitting in the kitchen waiting for him. "Did you already know?" The boy guessed. "How could you?" All his life broken girls, and himself mother was determined, but now she could not resist and cried. "That's enough. What are you all talking about? I'll take her as my wife, and we'll have a baby. It'll be a real family." He wanted to go to his room, but his father stopped him. "Where will you live?" He held his son's hand. "We'll figure it out." I didn't want to talk about it. The boy. "We'll figure it out." He exhaled a man's breath. From that day on, the whole village did nothing but talk about the case. Each time the news got more and more interesting. Camille was already pregnant, not by Stephen, but by someone unknown. And he just took pity on her, took her under his wing. The girl's mother agreed with the chairman, and he agreed to marry the young people. It so happened that at the graduation stood no longer a guy and a girl, but a husband and wife. "Will you live here?" strictly said Camille's mother. It was better for the girl then. "I'll go. I'll try to get a job," said Stephen. All plans to study in the city and move there were put off. Or maybe they weren't meant to come true. At first, the guy pretended to be a family man. A healthy girl was born, whom the parents named Jenna. Husband brought money into the family to take care of his daughter. But when he got the summons, his joy and zeal diminished. How could it be? Camille wondered. How can I be alone? She cried every day. But there was nothing they could do about it. Stephen went into the service. Will it be hard? Emily told her. I realized that myself. Camille was afraid to be alone. But her parents, Stephen and her mother, helped her with everything. Jenna was an active child. She was always busy. Camille looked at her and realized that she was still a child herself, but she already had her own. She wrote letters to her husband in the army. He answered, but unlike Camille, he rarely did. He came back. His daughter was over 2 years old. Didn't recognize her at first. Stephen, how long has it been since we've seen each other? Camille pressed them to him. But all that tenderness, he turned his back on her. When he came to the army, he saw that it was possible to live differently from the village. Now he wanted something different. He regretted the way things had turned out between him and Camille. And if he could turn back the clock now, he wouldn't look at her at all. Stop sitting here, his mother-in-law told him. I want to sit here. He poured himself another shot. My wife and child missed you here. And there you are. Emily stood and fed him. I need to get used to it, he said, and realized that he had no feelings for his wife anymore. What was that about? The mother didn't understand. To everything snapped at the young man. Oh, everything is clear with you. Do not need it will be brave. Get up. Leave. She went to the room where her granddaughter was sleeping. And that's what I'll do. Stephen sneered. He got up from the stool, staggered, took his papers and left the house. Mom, where's Stephen? Camille came back from the store. Gone quietly, said Ta didn't understand. It was the girl's turn to be surprised. He said he needed to get used to you. I showed him the door. The woman was minding her own business. How could you do that? Camille cried. Don't cry. You don't deserve to cry for him. He spoiled a girl, gave birth to a child, and then he went to the bushes. I guess he didn't like it. Emily came up and hugged her daughter. What about us? She didn't understand. Tears rolled from her eyes. It's okay. You're still young. You'll find a groom. She wiped her daughter's tears. The paperwork had to be done. When 6 months passed and Stephen never came back, Camille decided to divorce him. Mom helped with everything. I wondered, why had Stephen's parents stopped communicating with their ex-daughter-in-law and granddaughter? But no one asked them that. Well, guess what? One evening, Mom and daughter were sitting at the table, and Jenna ran the same look at the woman Camille. Why don't you go to the city, get an education, get a job? Maybe you're looking for a normal husband. Emily reasoned. What about Jenna? She looked at her daughter. Why doesn't she stay with me for a while? And how are you going to do that? You'll come back for her right away. The grandmother bent down and took her granddaughter in her arms. Well, I thought about it too, but I didn't dare to tell you. I thought maybe you wouldn't agree. Camille hugged her mom. Once we'd talked about it, that was the end of it. Camille gathered all her papers and went to conquer the city. Everything was new there. Not often had to get out of the village. The girl applied, enrolled. She was provided with a dormitory, moved in. When she lived with her mother and daughter, she did not think that there was such a strong connection between them. And now, when she was alone in a strange city, she felt the lack of relatives. Just because she was so sad, her roommate Wendy came over to her. I miss my daughter. She put a picture on the table. Wow, such a young and already so big daughter. The girl was surprised. Yes, but I don't regret anything. Camille stroked the image of Inga, not sad. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices. The neighbor gave wise advice. I'm trying. She stood up, went to the light switch to turn off the light. Studying wasn't hard. Camille did it with pleasure. She was preparing for the subject, snapping the tasks like peanuts. By the end of the session, there was almost no need to take exams. Everything was put by automatic. Home for the holidays? Wendy asked. Yes, she missed you very much. I can't wait to see you. Camille wanted to go shopping for a doll for her daughter, and then go. I'll see you later. They hugged each other. There were a lot of people in the store. Everyone wanted to please the children on this fabulous holiday. Sorry, Camille felt like she stepped on someone's foot. A man had just cleaned his shoes and was looking at them. I didn't do it on purpose. Camille really didn't mean it. She pulled a handkerchief out of her pocket. I wanted to get my mark off the victim's shoe. You what? He grabbed her arm. I'm sorry again. The girl couldn't find other words. Let's go. He took her to the place where there were the least people. Why? She didn't understand what this man wanted from her. Now he sat down and rubbed his shoes with some kind of cloth a couple of times, and everything was as it had been before. I should probably go. I saw Camille. There weren't so many customers at the register. Wait, I'll come with you. And he went up. Okay. She was already headed that way. My name is Christopher. Camille heard about you from behind. Camille. She didn't turn around. Buy a doll for your sister. He pointed to the beautiful toy in the girl's hands. My daughter is waiting for me for the holidays at her grandmother's. She did not begin to sly. She didn't go on with anything. Christopher. He was buying something too. And when he went outside, saw Camille crossing the street, caught up with her. Can I walk you out? He walked beside her. I think you already do. She smiled. Camille thought to herself, is it so easy to step on a man's foot in a store? And in the next moment you had already made an acquaintance. She liked Christopher. He was solid in a coat with a briefcase and an umbrella. You're going somewhere. He was looking at the big bag in her hand. Yes, I live in the country and now I'm studying here. For the holidays, I decided to visit my mother and daughter. Camille said casually, let me help you. He held out his hand to take the bag. Thank you. She was really grateful because the luggage was heavy. They reached the train station, stopped. "Camille, I'll see you again." He'd like that very much. Why not? She saw her bus pulling up. "Then tell me where you live in the city, and I'll be sure to come." He looked in the same direction as her. Yes, she nodded and dictated the address to him. Before meeting, he stood looking at her through the glass of the bus, till with only one lip the girl spoke. On the road she looked at, glimpsed trees, but did not see them. She thought about her new acquaintance. Finally, the familiar outline of houses appeared ahead. A smile appeared on the girl's face. She imagined how Jenna would greet her now. She got off the bus and headed towards her house. Everything was familiar here. Camille greeted the locals along the way. She was already at her gate when she saw Stephen. "Hi." He came up to her. "What are you doing here?" She didn't feel like talking to this man. "I wanted to ask how you were doing." The girl could see he was drunk. She pushed him a little and went through the gate. He didn't dare follow her. "Daughter." "Hi." She's out on the porch. "Emily, why did you come out here to meet me on purpose?" "You couldn't figure out Camille." "No, I thought your ex-husband was gonna fight again." She pointed to the gate. "Isn't this the first time?" The girl was very surprised why no one had told her about it before. "Yes, I'm sorry I didn't tell you." The mother entered the house, waiting for her daughter to catch up with her. What does he want here? All sorts of thoughts about the baby and everything else immediately began to pop into her head. Nothing to drink or money for a bottle. She heard the answer to her question. Wow. Camille stood up and froze. There was no telling how long she would stand like that, and what she would think about. Mom came out of the room. Hurricane Jenna high, hugged her. "What took you so long?" The girl clutched at her mother's neck. "I'm sorry, sweetheart, but we'll be together soon." She knew she would be. "Okay, granddaughter, let mommy pass." Her grandmother took her in her arms. "I missed you so much." Camille looked at her mother. "Yes, let's go to the table." They all sat there together. "So, are you ready for the party?" Leaning over to the baby, Camille. "No, we don't even have a Christmas tree." The little girl said sadly. "That's okay. We'll find one today." Her mom kissed her. Yay, started jumping around the kitchen. As Camille had promised, she bought a small Christmas tree. They set it up in the room, decorated it with toys, and now the holiday felt real. And the presents. Looking under the tree. "Girl, wait. Santa Claus hasn't gotten to our house yet." Camille laughed. Overnight, she prepared everything, packed everything nicely, and tomorrow. As soon as they sat down at the table, she would put it all under the holiday tree. Everything went just as Camille had planned. Her daughter was so excited about the doll that she did not sit at the table at all. And when the women came into the room, they only smiled when they saw her sleeping again with the toy in her arms. "But how are you doing in town?" asked Emily. Finally, they could talk amongst themselves. "It's fine." There really wasn't much to tell. She didn't want to talk about the latest acquaintances because nothing was clear. "Okay, when you want to say something, don't be shy." They raised their glasses, congratulated each other, had a drink after the sit-down, put the dishes away and went to their room. "Well, it was time for me to go to school again. Camille has been home for a week. May all be well." Mother and daughter hugged her. "I will miss you very, very much." The girl cried. Just like me, Camille did not want to cry, but one tear traitorously slipped down her cheek. That's it. Emily took her hand and went to escort her to the gate, while the girl headed towards the station. Back at the dormitory, everything was the same as before. Nothing had changed in the week they hadn't been there. They had to start studying again. "Camille, there's someone here to see you." One of the students came into her room. "Thank you." She wondered who it could be. When the girl came downstairs, she saw Christopher, as she expected. Today he was wearing a tracksuit, which looked very young for a young man. Yes, young. It was the first time Camille had seen him in an overcoat and thought he was a man. "Hello." She went up to him. "I couldn't wait for all these holidays to be over." He looked up. The janitor was standing there watching them. He gave Camille his hand and looked toward the exit. The girl understood immediately. She said that she had to change her clothes, and in a minute she would be outside. That was the deal. "Where are you going?" Wendy stood looking at her. Camille didn't usually leave the dormitory at all. "I'll tell you all about it later." The roommate was embarrassed. She grabbed her jacket, put on her shoes, and walked out into the hallway. Christopher stood on the porch. "Well, that's it. I'm ready." She walked up to him. "I'm really excited about this." He looked her over from head to toe. They walked just down the street. When they reached a bench that stood in the shade of a tree, they decided to sit down and talk. "I can't explain it, but there in the store, when you stepped on my foot, I liked you right away," Christopher began to tell her. "Of course, I can't say that." Then was very much frightened. She did not look at him, but later I can say that she also paid attention. They were sitting like two schoolboys who couldn't admit their feelings for each other. On the one hand, it was funny, but on the other hand, it was only the second time they had seen each other. "Let's go to the movies tomorrow," asked her. "Okay." Camille was thinking about something. "How long have you been a student here?" I wanted to know more about her. 6 months. For some reason, she felt embarrassed by that answer. "Why do you answer like that?" He couldn't understand. "A lot of people in my class say I'm a late enrollee, but I think it's never too late to study." Camille pulled some kind of wrapper out of her pocket and now cupped it in her hands. "Why are you even thinking about this? When you got in, you got in. Maybe you didn't get the education you wanted, and now to re-educate yourself." He didn't understand what the problem was. They chatted some more, walked around town, and Christopher went to see her off. Because Camille said there was something else to prepare for school. "Don't forget about the movie," he told her on the porch. Sure enough, she walked into the dorm. Cheeks burning, she went up to her room. "Tell me you're on a date." Wendy sat her down right away. "Yeah, on a date," she told her cryptically. "So, who is he? Where did you two meet?" The neighbor was curious about everything. Camille told her how they had bumped into each other in the store, and after that Christopher had already recognized her. Wow, what a way to go. Some people go to bars, restaurants, clubs, and can't meet anyone. And you just stepped in the store. She laughed on his foot. "Oh, Wendy, don't be silly. We don't know anything yet." Camille didn't want to rush things as usual. Christopher came every day. It was very pleasant. He was smart. Camille liked to talk to him about different subjects. By the time the warmth came, the girl was planning to go to her village again because there were long holidays ahead. "Are you sure you don't want to take me with you?" Christopher asked her. "Do you really want to?" She didn't know what to do or how to be. "You know, I'm that kind of person. If I do something, I do it thoroughly. If I choose you, I want it once and for life." He took her hands and turned her around to face him. "So now do you want to go to my village to meet my mom?" She concluded, "How smart are you?" He kissed her. "Okay, let's go. Didn't we agree on a place to meet tomorrow?" Camille was very worried. "What are you so worried about?" Wendy asked her tonight. "It's not every day you bring your fiancé to meet your mom," she said. "What's the big deal?" "Well, he's a good guy to meet. Or what are you worried about?" My friend didn't understand. "How will Jenna take it all?" Camille sighed. "Yeah, she'll take it fine. A man who's adequate should please the girl. Let him buy her candy. That's all it takes," Wendy advised. "All right." Camille adjusted her pillow and lay down. It took her a while to fall asleep because she had different thoughts in her head, but eventually she fell asleep. In the morning, she went to her vapor classes, and after them, she could go to the train station. Camille saw from afar that Christopher was already sitting there, waiting for her. Various thoughts came into her head again as to how she would bring him to the village. What would she tell her mother? After all, she had never told her about any young men, and now she'd come at once with her fiancé. But if she decided to do it, she had to do it. So she approached him from behind. "And I'm waiting for you," He stood up and put his arm around her. "Are you really ready to go to my mom?" She asked him that question again. "Of course I am. Why do you ask every time?" He couldn't understand. They got on the bus and drove down the road, talking a lot. Camille showed him different places she'd been. Beautiful views of the river. There's not much green now, but when it's in full bloom, you'll see how beautiful it will be. She promised him. They were approaching the station when Camille spotted Jenna. For some reason, she got even more excited. Just as they got off the bus, Christopher heard Mommy running towards her girl. "Hi, honey." She sat down and hugged her daughter. "How are you here? Grandma said that there are long holidays ahead, and most likely you will come to us. So we came to meet you." Territory, girl. Suddenly, she stopped and looked at Christopher. "Meet Christopher," her mom told her. "Hi, Uncle Christopher." She held out her hand to him. "Hi," he said to her and took a candy bar out of his pocket. "Oh, thank you. I like that kind of candy," she said. All this time, Camille's mother stood by and watched the scene. Of course, she didn't interfere in her daughter's affairs. She decided that later, when there was time, they would talk privately. "Christopher, I'd like you to meet my mom." She brought him over to a woman. "Nice to meet you." He extended his hand to her, and she shook it. After that, we all went home. For some reason, it was so peaceful. "Emily, I didn't just come here," Christopher said that evening, when they were gathered around the table, "and I realized it." The woman glanced at her daughter. "I like Camille very much, and I would like her to be my wife." He reached into his inside pocket and pulled out a ring. "That's a good one." And he didn't say a word. Camille looked at the gift. "What about Uncle Christopher becoming my daddy?" Running around Jenna. "Anything's possible." Camille put the stir chain on her finger. They were sitting. Camille put her hand on her head. Sitting there, watching, seeing how happy her daughter was. Then she left them at home, went to her friend's house. "You have a good mom," said Christopher Camille. "Yeah," she put the little girl on the stairs. "All right, baby, let's get to know each other." He tickled her, "Yeah." She laughed. This time the couple could only stay here for 3 days. After that, Camille had to go to school and Christopher to work. "Jenna, Mom will be on vacation now, and we'll come and get you." A young man sat down in front of her. "Yay, and I'll live with you." She was already happy about something that hadn't happened yet. Yes, he looked up at Camille. That's how it worked out. When the girl passed the last exam, they went together again to pick up their daughter. The mother was so very upset. After all, when Camille went to study, she had to quit her job. And now they're leaving her alone. "Don't be upset. You can always come and visit us," hugged her daughter. "Okay." Her mother knew that she would definitely come to visit them many more times. Christopher moved Camille into his apartment. That's where they brought Jenna. They were a complete family now. All they had to do was get their passports stamped. "Are you happy?" Christopher asked her when they had been together for a month. Very much, she hugged him. Time flew by quickly. Camille graduated, got a job. Jenna went to kindergarten. After that, she went to school. Christopher and Camille were happy to have such a beautiful daughter. Yes, a daughter, because Jenna almost immediately started calling Christopher Daddy. He didn't mind it, but he never gave up hope that they would have a child together. Today was the big day, Dad said. In the morning, he would put on his suit. It was me or us, and Jenna was getting the hang of it. Of course you do, but it's not so easy for us either. He sat down in front of his daughter, adjusted her jacket, helped her put on her briefcase. Come on, let's go. Camille joined them. In her hands was a huge bouquet, which consisted of asters and gladiolus. They were on their way to the lineup, which was the first time in the girl's life. Camille was a little worried, and Jenna, on the contrary, everything was interesting. School life is not easy, but it concerns not only children, but also their parents. How are you doing at work? Christopher asked his wife. It's fine. Why do you ask? She demanded pies in the kitchen. You look tired. Did he help make the filling? No, it's fine. Jenna's just a lot of work. And it was true. The kids had so much schoolwork that Mom couldn't keep up at all. Why didn't you say anything? I can help. He'd do anything to make the family happy. Then see what they're doing today. The girl was already in the 4th grade. She was bright, but she still didn't understand a lot of things. Only after deep consideration of the subject did she do the right thing. Well, in their family, it was mutual, each helping the other. Jenna, get up. You're late for the dance, shouted from the kitchen mother. Can I not go today? The girl was in 7th grade. She used to go everywhere without fail, but now she was beginning to exercise. No, that won't do. You're always ready to go out with your girlfriends. You have to try harder here too. Camille came into the room and looked at her daughter. Okay, she got up reluctantly and left like that. Mom, giving her daughter time to change. And Jenna went to the dance class, which she was already tired of. She'd been going there since 1st grade. And now that everyone was older, she didn't want to waste any more time on it. Jenna, where are you going? Her friends met her. She rolled her eyes at the dance. Let's go for a walk. What do you need them for? They talked her into it. Come on, it's okay to skip it once. She looked around as if she was afraid her mother was watching her. They were meeting in one of the courtyards because there was a group of older guys there. They didn't pay any attention to the girls, but they still came to see them every day. Hey, Jenna and her friends walked past the young men. Aha. They didn't even turn around. They weren't interested in the kids. Why don't they even look in our direction? Asked Rick, who liked Rick. Because they have other interests, answered Jenna. The girls didn't waste the opportunity. They were in that yard every day. Come here. Somehow John called out to Jenna. That she didn't expect to be called. The school year was almost at an end. Only a few days left until vacation. Go on, her friends whispered to her. The girl walked, her legs starting to shake. John was only a few meters away, but she felt like he was miles away from her. When finally Jenna was close by, the guy laughed. Did you call me over for a laugh? She didn't understand. She somehow braved it right away. No, it just shakes like a leaf. He took her hand. I can't help it. Jenna was telling the truth. All right, let's go. There's something to do. He called her over to the others. Hi, she came over. Listen, without greetings began to talk. Guys, we need you to come with us to the disco. Why? The girl realized they had some kind of plan. Our girls decided that we won't find anyone and sewed us up. So we'll show them that we don't care, they explained to her. She turned to her friends at that moment and waved for them to come to them. They were just waiting for that. They were there at the same moment. Jenna recounted everything to them. We agree. They imagined going to the disco with them. How will their classmates be jealous? Then we'll do it on Saturday. We are waiting for you here. John looked at Jenna and smiled. She must have fallen in love with him at that very moment. Jenna, I found out you were skipping the dance. Her mother came to her room. Did your teacher call you? The girl didn't understand. There was one class left until the end of the year, at least for him. Go, the woman asked. And from September, I will not go. She asked the woman. We'll see. Camille avoided answering. On Saturday, the girls had been at Jenna's house practically since lunchtime. They were coloring and picking out what to wear. Man, it doesn't seem too bright. Did Jenna turn to her friends? No, it's fine. They approved of what she'd done. But the girls still cleaned up a little of the makeup with wipes. Finally, they were ready. It was still over 2 o'clock before the event started, so everyone gathered in the same courtyard. Hi. The guys finally came over. They were now chatting like old friends. Let's go. Jenna took a look at John. Aha. He smiled at her. Jenna walked over to him, taking his hand in hers. This was very cool to her. John was in charge of the company, and now she's walking beside him. Why so much makeup? Asked the guy on the way. I knew it. She regretted not cleaning up as much as she wanted. Listened to her friends. Ahead showed the DK where the disco was held. Stephen began to shiver. "What if your girls start fighting with us?" asked Jenna. For some reason, it only now came to her mind. "They won't. And if they do, we're always here for them," he answered her. Good. She trusted that John would be able to handle everything. That night was just as the guys had planned. All the girls were older than Jenna and her friends by only 1 year. As soon as they saw that those came with their friends, they started to talk over each other. When Jenna went outside, they hurried to be there too. "You know they're ours," said one of the girls. "They were yours, now they're ours." She was not shy, Jenna. They bickered a little longer and then went back into the hall. A slow dance began. John approached Jenna. They danced, and she could see her rival's eyes sparkling. "Let's get out of here," her boyfriend called out to her. "What about the girls?" She looked at her friends. "They can walk on their own." He looked the same way as the girl. Choosing well between the girls and the boyfriend, she favored him. They went outside. It was warm. Jenna took the guy under her arm again. They headed to where the market was during the day. "Let's sit here." He beckoned her over to the tray and stood up himself, across the street. "Okay." She liked the way he was treating her. "You're cool," he touched her. "You are too." She was smiling. She felt good right now. "What if we start being friends?" did he suggest it. "Let's do it." She couldn't believe she was saying that. "Come on now, I'll walk you out tomorrow. Come to the courtyard." He gave her a hand to help her climb down from where she was sitting. The next day, as promised, he was waiting for her where they always met. "Jenna, are you two really dating?" Looked at her, surprised by her girlfriends. "Yes, he proposed yesterday," she told them. "But wow, what kind of guide did she get?" "Yeah." She looked down on them. "But I gotta go." Jenna headed towards John. The girls kept up. They believed that if their girlfriend started hanging out with a guy like that, they might get lucky. "Hi." She came up to him. "Were you standing there with them for so long?" He asked about the girlfriends. "Talking about you," she told him honestly. The guy and the girl started a serious relationship. Now they rarely sat in that courtyard as a group. More often John came to pick up Jenna and they went for a walk. "Who's that guy coming to see you?" asked her mother one day. "His name is John. We have been friends for a couple months now." She blushed when she told her mother that. "Why don't you bring a stranger to visit?" The woman was afraid because the guy was 5 years older. "I do not know, as that time has not come yet." Shrugged his shoulders. "Why are you picking on her?" Christopher intervened in their conversation. "Well, I'm a mother. I need to know who my daughter is socializing with." Camille didn't understand him. "Your daughter is 13 years old. Until she is so old that she can choose her suitors, we'll change them more than once," laughed Christopher. "It's good for you to reason. You don't worry like I do." She sighed. Camille began to watch her daughter more carefully now. She was afraid that a grown boy might do something. But John was showing good behavior. The girl always came home on time. At school she studied well. And so after a while Camille let the situation go. There was a fall ball at school. And of course, there was a disco afterwards. "Are you coming?" Jenna John asked. And you invite to the school going did not feel like going. But if his girlfriend was going, he should be with her. When they got there in the evening, they saw that the girl with whom the guy used to be friends was also there. Jenna was dancing in a circle with her friends and suddenly felt someone pushing her back. She turned around and saw Vanessa, John's ex. "What do you want?" she asked her. "You shouldn't look at other people's boyfriends and be friends with them." She answered her. "You broke up." "We started to be friends. What's wrong with that, Jenna?" "We didn't break up. I just wanted to teach him a lesson. And you see how it turned out." The girl spoke arrogantly. "Well, who did you teach a lesson?" "You," had Jenna laughing. The situation between them was getting so heated that everything was heading for a fight. "Yeah, screw you," she said. Vanessa and shoved her in the shoulder. She grabbed her by the hair. And that's when the real scuffle started. The girls on Vanessa's side wanted to protect their friend, but the girls who were with Jenna didn't stand still either. John stood aside and only smiled at this. He was amused by it. The whole situation after the teachers who were on duty at the disco separated them. Jenna approached John. "Is it funny to you?" she asked him. "Yeah," he answered. "Fuck you." She turned around and walked toward the exit. "Wait," he followed her. But Jenna didn't want to listen to him anymore. She was shaking with anger, not at the fact that she'd just gotten into a fight, but at having to fight over some guy. She'd never been so down at home before. She let the tears flow. "Daughter, what's wrong?" Mom came running into the room. "Nothing. Please leave me alone," she asked. "No. I want to know why my daughter is crying." Camille sat down on the edge of the bed. He turned out to be just like everyone else. The girl was crying. "Calm down. There's nothing to suffer for." A woman stroked her head. "Mom, you don't understand." That evening, nothing could help her. Her mother brought her some warm milk, which Jenna drank and went to bed. In the morning, Jenna went to school. After that, she went back home and never went out again. She really didn't feel like going out with John, but when she didn't come to the yard, the guy thought he should go to her himself. He knocked on the door, waiting a long time to be opened. Camille appeared on the doorstep. "Hello. Can I talk to Jenna?" he asked her. "No," answered the mother. Why didn't he understand? "You hurt her badly yesterday, and she doesn't want to communicate with you today," said the woman. "Since I hurt her, I just didn't want to get involved in the fight, that's all." He looked inside the apartment, but he didn't see Jenna there. "Did she tell you that you two broke up?" Camille looked at the guy carefully. "Just call her, and that's all." The young man insisted. "Okay." She went to the room where Jenna was, told her everything. The girl went out onto the landing and closed the door behind her. "Why are you doing this?" asked her John. "You can all go to your Vanessa. We are not together anymore," she answered. He was sad to hear that, but there was nothing to do. So John just left. They broke up. Jenna suffered. But soon the study process, dance class, and everything else overshadowed her sadness. She still went out with the girls. John once tried to approach her at the disco, but she did not want to be with him. And then he disappeared from the city. Nobody saw him or knew where he was. "Shall we go to the store?" Christopher looked at his daughter. Yes, she nodded her head. Jenna was graduating from 11th grade, so she needed to buy a nice dress and shoes. "Oh, I can't even believe school is behind us," Camille said to her daughter. "I can't believe it myself," Jenna admitted honestly. "Okay, enough about that. Let's pick out a dress," showed Christopher the outfits of beautiful evening gowns. And Jenna did nothing but change dresses and spin around in front of the mirror. They all looked good on her, but she chose the one she thought was the prettiest. At graduation, they stood all together. Teachers and the principal congratulated them and said farewell words. After that, they moved to the hall, where the tables were already set. When the fun was in full swing, her friend pushed Jenna in the side. She looked up and saw John heading toward them. "Can I talk to you?" Did he approach the girls? "No," she said, and turned away. She didn't feel like talking to him or seeing him at all. "Why don't you want to talk to me? I don't understand why things didn't work out with you the other day." He wouldn't leave. He insisted. "Okay, let's go." Jenna left the table and walked with John towards the exit. She didn't want to get into an argument in front of everyone. "Outside," he clarified. Yes, she nodded, and they walked out of the school. "Tell me, why aren't we together?" he asked. "What do you mean? It's been so many years, and you show up and ask me why we're not together." She was very surprised. "All this time I remembered you. I wanted us to be together." He wanted to hug the girl. "I was forgotten to ask." She didn't look at the guy. "Give me a chance," he asked. "Come back tomorrow. Maybe something will work out." She went back to where everyone else was. But John didn't wait until tomorrow. He saw all the seniors getting on the bus. He knew where they were going. There was a sunrise reunion ahead. Jenna approached him from behind. God, why scare her like that? She turned to him. I love you and I want to be with you. He put his arms around the girl. At that moment, she settled in. It was so beautiful. The dawn was just beginning. And here he is, confessing his love. Okay, let's try again. She smiled. John didn't say anything. He kissed her shoulder, then her neck. Mom, I'm home. She came the next day. Good, you took a walk. She saw that her daughter's makeup was a little smeared. What's your look? She was pointing at her face. I need to tell you something. Jenna walked to the room and started to change her clothes. Something serious tensed the woman. John and I are back together. Didn't turn around, she what? Why do you want him? Do you know what I heard about him? Camille couldn't believe it. They say you can't walk into the same river twice. You know, unless you step on your own toes, you'll never get anywhere. My daughter was in her pajamas. She was gonna get some sleep. Christopher, can you believe they're back together? The wife went into the other room and told the husband to stay out of it. Things can happen fast now, he warned her. You know what my friend told me about him. She sat down next to me. And what was it? He was ready to listen. He uses not only alcohol, but also many other things, whispered Camille. Oh, it's all your gossip. Christopher didn't believe it. Well, we'll see what happens. Camille wanted her daughter to be happy. She had to enroll, but because of the meetings with her boyfriend, she didn't want to leave this town. So let's go together. He suggested it to her. Are you serious? She was so excited. She was ready to go anywhere. They lived together. John did drink a lot, bringing strange people home with him. Jenna didn't like it, but she kept quiet because she loved John and didn't want to fight with him. Where are you going at night? She asked him as he was about to leave. It's none of your business. He'd leave, come back in the morning. And when Jenna pressed him for explanations, he'd lie to her. Sometimes the girl complained to her mother. She'd cry, told her to leave him. But Jenna couldn't. She loved the man so much that she stayed with him. If she kept on like this, it wouldn't be long before they broke up. Warned Jenna. John, come on. He was hugging the girl. You'll see. Jenna threatened him with her finger. John was afraid that the girl would leave him. After all, the apartment they lived in was rented by her father. So after they fought, the guy did everything he could to make up. So John decided to relax a little. Went to a bar that was close to the house. He went to the bar. There was another young man sitting there. Can I have a drink? John asked the bartender. Sure, he replied. What's bad too? Asked the one who was sitting there. I don't get it. John motioned to him. Robert. The stranger held out his hand. John answered the man. Nice to meet you. The young man was dressed normally. He sat and just drank. At that moment, John was poured a drink. He raised the shot, looked at the new acquaintance. Here's to us, Robert said. They started talking all the while and drinking. What's the matter with you? Asked John to the young man. Oh, it's a long story. The one wrinkled his nose and brushed it off. It's hard if you're sitting here alone pouring. I looked at the counter, where one glass after another was put out. Very exhaled that tell. I was ready to listen and support, almost a friend. And what to tell? We lived normally. And then it began. He took the glass again. With his wife, John said. Aha. He looked away, and more people came into the bar. What changed? The guy was getting the words out of Robert. I was an ordinary guy then. I studied at the Institute. I knew and could do a lot of things. Robert began his story. I see. Prepared to listen to John. Molly came to pick up some documents. She and I bumped into each other in the hallway, and her hand fell out of hers. I sat down, started helping her, picking it up. One of the forms said something about oil deposits. I was surprised, I asked. At that moment, Robert stopped talking. He decided to wet his throat again. Wow, were they oil tycoons? John was all ears now. You could say that. But I didn't know that at the time. I'd only seen the papers. Our institute specialized in this subject. So I was interested. I started telling what I knew. And Molly walked and smiled. As it turned out, she only works with documentation and doesn't understand anything about it. Robert shook his head. Wow, it's like a fairy tale. John looked at his new acquaintance fascinated. That's what I thought at the time. I met him and asked him out on a date. I don't know who liked me better, her father or herself. But from that moment on, I was part of their family. As if he remembered something, he curved his lips. Why the father? Didn't understand. He was sick of his work. Once he got a half-empty well, as many people thought. But he developed it, dug near it. Turned out there was oil. He's been in business ever since. I knew a lot about the subject. We talked to him for hours a day. And then he told his daughter I was the perfect man to marry. Heavy, Robert sighed. And you got married? John guessed. Yes, we started living together. I worked with my father. I thought Molly and I were made for each other and would always be together. We'd never be apart. And she did this to me. He took another sip. What did she do now? It was a very interesting story. While I was just a simple guy, she loved me. And then things changed. We started working. I started having money. We built a house, bought everything we needed. One day I came home and there she was with our driver, making out. It looked like Robert was about to cry. Wow. The new buddy shook his head. That's what I thought, too, and I asked her to come to her senses and come back. And she said I was just like her father. So 7 years of our marriage went down the drain. He took the glass and drank it all down. They exchanged phone numbers. Robert promised to keep in touch with him and to get him a job, since Robert had had enough. He got ready to go home. John volunteered to walk him home, but it turned out he had a car waiting for him. That's it. I'll call you tomorrow, he said to his new friend when he got home, and told Jenna nothing. She looked at her husband, who was wobbling from side to side, and started talking to him and figuring things out. Just went to bed. And John sat there thinking of ways to get money out of the new buddy. I'm going to school. She told him to get dressed in the morning and left. Didn't even know if he heard or not. The couple's relationship was very strained. Jenna was even beginning to think that her mom was right when she told her about this guy not being right for her. Hi. That's when John dialed Robert's number. Hello, he remembered who was calling him. You promised to think about getting me a job, the young man reminded him. Yes, he only agreed because he always kept his promises. Come to my office. John was very happy. He'd walk, and on the way he'd think of something to catch on to. And then he'd think of something. Hi. He was greeted by a well-dressed man. Hello. For some reason, John got excited. I've got something for you. He opened the door for him. Okay, thanks. He tried to be polite. They sat there, had a long talk. And at the end, Robert said he was taking John into production as a technician. It was a happy thing. They said goodbye, and John went home. Jenna, I got a job, he told the girl. I congratulate you, she said cheerlessly. Why so sluggish? He stood up and walked over to her. Don't. She didn't want anything from him anymore. All right, don't be sorry. And he left the house again. Jenna breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't know what to do with this relationship. It was stressing her out. John went to work. He asked his supervisor to walk with him. It was for a reason. He wanted everyone to see who brought him here. This is where you'll be working, Robert showed me. All right, who's gonna explain everything to me? Just asked the new employee. You ask the guys. He pointed to the crew. Thank you. They shook hands and Robert went to his room. All right, guys, let me get this straight. John wanted to understand the principle of what was gonna be done. They started showing him one thing after another. Everything was easy and clear. Now he started coming here every day. But not much time had passed when the young man began to get more and more discouraged. "So you do this and you do that," he commanded. "Why would I do that? You're the one who should be doing it." The other workers resented it. "You want me to tell you what you're really doing here?" He called the boss that on purpose to show how close friends they were. The guys were afraid of losing their jobs, so they did what they were told. In the evening, John would go straight to the boss's office. "How about a Scotch bar?" He'd sit in the chair. "You know, I'm a little busy tonight." He didn't know how to tell the guy to leave. "I saw your workers taking something off the property today," John said, as if in passing. What exactly did the supervisor tense up about? He often saw that there were fewer new parts than there should have been. "I don't know, but they were still talking about it afterward. I realized I'd hit a nerve, young man." "I see. Can you show me who it is?" Got up from the table, Robert. "Sure," agreed the boy. Maybe the guys did take something off the property. Nobody knew that. But when John pointed them out and they were punished, now they were avoiding him. "Remember when you asked me to go to the bar? You met Robert John after work." "Yeah." He was waiting for the boss to call him. "It's okay today." He pointed to the car. John slowed down on purpose. He wanted more workers to get out of the factory, and then ostentatiously got into his friend's car. "But something even where we met." Robert looked at him. "Come on." John didn't care where they went, as long as they got close to the money. He'd been getting a paycheck for a long time, and he hadn't done anything. As soon as he complained about someone or said something that would implicate the employees, Robert would punish or fire them. "Congratulations to you." The boss raised his glass. "On what?" "Excuse me, comrade." "With the fact that we work together," he smiled. "Come on." They clinked glasses and drank. After that, the friends sat, chatted about many things, and then decided to disperse. When the next day everyone came to the production, then many were summoned to the director. Some he fired, others reprimanded. "Why should we keep silent?" Asked in the corridor, one asked the other. "Exactly. We've already been fired. What's the use of hiding?" The man rushed back into the office. "We've already cleared this up." Robert looked at us. "No, we have a statement," they said firmly. "Speak up." The warden was ready to listen. "Do you know what your protege does all day?" asked one of them. "You mean John?" I couldn't understand, Robert. "He's the one they confirmed." "What does he do?" I wanted to hear what the workers had to say. "He walks around, commands, does nothing, makes us do nothing, and then tells you things that didn't happen." The man was shooting like a machine gun. "I don't believe you. John is a good man." The chief did not believe them. "But you follow him and see for yourself." The men advised him and left the office, not understanding anything. Robert looked out the window. In the evening, he called his friend again for a sit-down. Of course, he wouldn't tell him anything, but he wanted to see how and what he was doing. "Let's go to my place, and I'll introduce you to my girlfriend," John said. "Oh, not today. I didn't want you to look like that." "Robert, what are you talking about? Come on." The guy gave me his hand. "Okay." Robert couldn't say no to him again. They got in the car and drove to John's house, stopped, walked to the driveway. Sure to be comfortable. Robert was worried. He didn't want to disturb people. "It's fine," John assured him. They entered the apartment. Jenna was surprised. I wanted to kick her out at first, but when I saw Robert, I knew he wouldn't sit with her boyfriend until morning. "Hello," he said. "Hello." Repeated after John's boss. "Come on in." She pointed toward the kitchen. "Why not the room? Or did you not clean up again?" Started stepping on it. "That never happened." That's why Jenna's face stretched out. "Why would you do that?" The guest looked at him judgmentally. "She didn't deserve it any other way," John assured him. "Let's go." Robert was ashamed, although these words were not spoken by him. The host placed a table in front of the sofa. They sat down. Jenna started carrying snacks from the kitchen and whatever John asked for. "Thank you." Robert liked the girl. She didn't say anything, just walked back and forth. "Have a seat with us?" he asked her. "No, thank you." She looked at him. "Don't you get it?" shouted John. "Why are you doing this? Do you want to seem cool or the master of life?" Robert didn't understand. And that she refuses when respectable people ask. He shrugged as if he had nothing to do with it. "If you don't want to, you don't have to do it." After these words and left for the kitchen. "And I now," said John, and went after her. What she turned to him as he entered the kitchen and closed the door. "It's okay what you've done here," hissed he. How could Jenna not realize what had happened to him? "And that's the man I need." "Got it. So you're going to come and sit with us like a sweetheart now." John grabbed her arm. "I'm not going anywhere." The girl wanted to get free, but she couldn't move. "I thought you'd sleep with him if I wanted you to." He squeezed her hand harder. Shrieked in pain, Jenna. "What's going on here?" Robert came into the kitchen. "Fuck off. What's the boss doing here?" "I'm sorry." He pulled himself together. He let go of Jenna's hand. Robert saw that there was a purple mark on her. "Let me see." He held out his hand. John stood and looked at them. Anger raged inside, but he didn't show it. "That's no way to behave," Robert said. "That's what I'm saying." John backed up his friend. "That's what I told you." The chief turned to him. "I see what you're looking at." Mocking. "The guy attacked his girlfriend again. That's enough packing. He won't leave you alone tonight." He was looking at Jenna. "I already realized that. It's convenient." She didn't realize what was going on. Yes, he went to the hallway shoes, his father. Jenna did not bother to argue with anyone. She followed Robert's example. "If you leave now, you may not come back," John shouted after them. "If you don't stop working now, you don't have to go out," Robert told him quietly but firmly. "I understand." The young man stopped. Robert and Jenna stepped outside. He pointed to the car. "I can't. He'd kill me." And Jenna was in shock about everything that was happening. "It's gonna be okay." They got in and drove off. He'd planned the whole thing. "I couldn't figure it out, Jenna." "I don't know. I don't think so," Robert said. Honestly. They drove to the house, and there the man walked her to the door, showed her where she could set up. "You're so good to me." She thanked and went to her room. Jenna lay not sitting down. She waited for morning to come so she could go home, but she couldn't stand it either. She went outside. It was still dark. "Where are you going?" Robert asked her. He was sitting downstairs reading something. "Oh, you scared her." "I don't think it turned out well." She stood. Was she embarrassed at all? No, it was fine. He got up to see the girl off. If John had gone to bed after they left, he should be back to normal by now. "Thank you," she said for the 100th time today. "Get in touch," he smiled. The driver started her off in a matter of minutes. She entered the apartment and started packing. "Where are you going?" asked Joan to the girl. "How do you think?" She put forward her hand, on which there were huge bruises. "I'm sorry," he tilted his head. "I can't. I've never seen you like this before." She continued doing what she was doing. "Jenna, marry me." He stood in front of her on the floor. "Are you out of your mind? In the evening, you're yelling and screaming. And now you're proposing." She couldn't keep up with her young man's changing moods. "Please, I love you. I'm jealous. I'm crazy about it." He was still standing in front of her. "Stand up." She held out her arms to him. They embraced. Then they went to their room and went to bed together. "How are things at home?" asked Robert at work in the morning. "It's fine." I apologized. She forgave me. We do that a lot. John didn't look him in the eye. "I hadn't noticed," Robert said honestly. "Okay, I went out of the shop." He was so angry. He wanted to take it out on somebody. He started yelling at the workers, and they were silent, as usual. But the guy didn't know that cameras had been installed all around the factory at night. That would keep anything unnecessary out. And also Robert could watch John at work. Robert wanted to see something that he could charge the young man for. He thought back to the ride he had taken with Jenna yesterday. He had liked that girl so much. How could she live with someone like John? Hi. John came home, and Jenna was waiting for him with dinner. Steamboat Jenna herself didn't know how it was that she hadn't seen in his mouth the real him that he now appeared to be. Nor could she understand how she could love him after all this. But it was true. Smells good. He sat down at the table. I tried. Everything seemed to work out for them. After that, the young man called the girl into the bedroom. There he settled on the bed, took the camera in his hands. "What are you doing?" she asked him. "Dance for me," he asked. "Are you crazy?" And Jenna couldn't understand. "What do you want?" He looked at her begging. "Oak." She turned on the music and started moving to the beat. Then John turned on the camera. "Come on. Come on," he encouraged her. "I won't be on camera." She stopped. "What's there to remember? I'll look at how beautiful my wife was later," he begged. "Okay," laughed Jenna. After that, Jenna danced while undressing. Strange as it may seem, but she got so carried away that she forgot about the camera. After the incendiary dancing, the girl climbed into bed, where there was a favorite man. There they had everything and continued. "You are so hot," whispered John to her. "I love you." She was melting at his words. Afterward, they would lie cuddled together for a short time and then fall asleep. It went on like this almost every night. "John, come to my place," Robert called to the young man. "All right now." He was in a hurry. "How are you doing?" Talking to Robert in the office. "Why do you ask? Is everything all right?" John was surprised. "It's been a long time since you and I went anywhere," the boss told him. "Yeah, that's right." He nodded. "Maybe to my place," Robert suggested. "Let Yurka cook something for me then." John volunteered then. "Very good. I'm sick of these bars," said Robert. That's what he wanted. He wanted to see Jenna. After work, they met and drove to where John lived. They didn't say a word on the way. They couldn't find anything to talk about. Finally, the car stopped. They got out and walked to the driveway. Jenna had been warned. She came home from school and immediately started cooking. The pie that John loved so much was concocted. They entered the apartment and sat down at the table. "How good you are at cooking," complimented Jenna. "Robert, thank you." She blushed. John noticed it. His fists clenched, but he didn't show it. "How are you doing in school?" Robert asked. It was going well, so it was just the two of them talking. Robert and Jenna. John, as an extra link, was just present. The evening went very well. As Robert got ready to go home, he kissed Jenna's hand. "Liked what?" Angrily, John said as the supervisor left their apartment. "What's wrong with you?" Was she afraid he might do something? Nothing. He grabbed her arm and threw her on the bed. "Please stop," Jenna asked him. Now he went and turned on the camera, and then attacked his wife-to-be. Whatever he did to her that night, she just screamed and cried. "Hello, Jenna," Robert called the next day. "Good afternoon." She didn't understand what he wanted or why he was calling. "How did it go yesterday when I left?" He was really interested in that question. It was fine. She stood in front of the mirror and looked at her face, which had a huge bruise on it. "I want to see you." The man insisted. "I can't." She knew he was testing her, so it didn't go so well. He guessed. "Robert, what did you want?" She cried. "Are you alone now?" He asked first, and then looked at the monitor where he saw John on the cameras. "What kind of question couldn't you understand, Jenna?" "I'll be right there." He hung up the phone. Jenna had no time to do anything, to think over the plan of action. But the doorbell rang. There was nothing to do but open it. "Jesus," the man looked at her. "What did he do to you?" "That's none of your business." She lowered her eyes. "Yes, it is." He went into the apartment and started packing her things. "What are you doing?" "What do you mean you're doing?" She looked up with big eyes. "We're going to my place. There's nothing for you to do here." He spoke confidently. "What about John?" She was worried. "I'll deal with him myself," Robert promised. After that, they got into the car and drove to his house. After he explained to her where and what to look for, and then he drove to work. "John, I need to talk to you." He called him over to his place. "You've been getting a lot of calls, buddy." One of the employees said he was asleep. "That's none of your business." The guy yelled at him. He quickly went to the office to go up to the boss. "Hey, what do you want?" He walked into the office. "To fire you," said in a stern voice Robert. That smirk he heard. Couldn't stand his tone. "Warden, what did I do?" "Didn't understand, John. What did you do?" Robert turned the monitor to him. "You can't prove anything." The guy got all nervous and twitchy. "Jenna, I got her now. Leave her alone." Spoken calmly. "Robert, you're gonna take my woman for yourself, aren't you?" Shook his head. Thought he had it all figured out, didn't. "All I did was save her from you. You saw her face." He got up from his seat. "1 million, said the young man. "What don't you understand, Robert?" 1 million, and she's yours." Not a muscle flinched on John's face. "And if I report you for carrying from the factory?" He pointed at the monitor. "Ah, you almost threw yourself at it, John. You can't." Robert shook his head negatively. "Are you going to agree to my terms, or is your life going to be hell?" He was no longer embarrassed. "Okay, 1 million, and you never even remember her name. Go to her. It's a deal." They shook hands. John walked happily out from the supervisor's office. He called his car and drove home. There he saw that the bride's belongings were indeed gone. Rubbed his hands together and smiled. He decided to wait a couple days and then start putting his plan into action. This wasn't how he wanted to set things up, of course, but since things hadn't gone according to his plan, he found a loophole here too. A month passed. John knew that Jenna was still living with Robert, so he started following the man. Saw him arrive at work and dialed Jenna's number. "What do you want?" She answered after the second dial tone. "Hello, darling," he said in a unified voice. "Go ahead." She waited. At first, John wanted to tell her that her new suitor had just bought her, but then he decided against it. "I want money every month, 200 million, 300,000. He spoke in a tone that made it impossible to argue with him. "Are you crazy?" She even laughed. "No, but you are. When your video gets into the wrong hands, and you bet it will, I'll be well paid for it." He's laughing now. "John, you won't do that." Her voice was strained. "You know me. I'd do anything for money." She knew that. "Okay, I'll think of something," the girl promised. "That's my girl. I love you." The month went exactly the same date. "You owe me the full amount." He passed out. Jenna sat down on the bed and covered her head with her hands. What should she do? She would not be able to ask Robert for so much. She would tell him where she could get such money, and even monthly. The girl thought for the rest of the evening, until Robert came home. "Hi." He came into Anja's room. "Hello." She got up and walked over to him. "Jenna, let's go together. Let's have dinner," he asked her nicely. Now she had to do everything for them to be together. They went down to the first floor and sat down at a table. "Jenna, have you considered us as a couple?" Asked her a question head-on. "Robert, what about John?" She said that on purpose so he wouldn't think she was frivolous. "What about John?" "I think he's lost his mind. He started putting garnishes on her plate." "Okay, I'll think about your suggestion." And she started eating. It was so embarrassing that she was cheating on such a good man, but she had no other choice. "That's the answer I like," he smiled. From then on, Robert would leave money for Jenna before he left for work, so she could get to school and buy something for herself. And she'd take the crumbs and put the rest away. "Hey, you came home, Robert, and I made you this." And Jenna was downstairs waiting for him. "Where's Valentina?" He was looking around for his assistant. "I decided to let her go and cook for you myself." She was honest. "Thank you." He came over and hugged her for the first time. Jenna didn't resist. "Robert," She looked into his eyes that Robert was looking at her too. I like you, but I need to get used to it. She was telling the truth. To be honest, she was already confused. Where in this house was the truth and where were the lies? When Robert left to take a shower, she saw that he had left his briefcase downstairs. She walked over, opened it, and there were papers and money. And Jenna clutched it. She didn't want to do this, and she didn't. But right now her reputation depended on it. The girl took out a few bills, tucked them into her pocket. What are you doing here? She just had time to close her briefcase. I'm looking at that beautiful stone you have. She lied because his bag was on top of it. Do you want us to drown it? He asked. Sure. It wasn't a lie. She really wanted to. Now Robert had gone somewhere. He came back, put some wood inside, lit a match, and in 1 minute the fire was blazing inside. It was beautiful. She sat down in front of him. What did I say? He lowered himself to the floor beside the girl. She couldn't take her eyes off the fire. She sat and looked at it. She saw different pictures of the world. You're beautiful. Robert put his hand on her stomach. Thank you. She was transfixed by what was happening. Robert got up, went to the bar, poured wine into glasses, and brought it to the girl. I want you to have the same feelings for me that you have for John. He clinked his glass. About her took a sip and she did too. After that he started kissing her. Jenna at first was embarrassed. Robert saw this and stopped. No, keep going. She turned around and hugged him. You are the most wonderful girl. He touched her lips. In the morning, when Robert wasn't home, she counted it out. All the money she had was missing a couple thousand. But Jenna thought that would be enough. She went to the place where they had agreed to meet John. Here, give me the records. She handed him the money. You're a fool. Now you'll give me this much every month. He laughed. You what? Where will I get them for you? She looked at him with big eyes to please her new lover more often. He will. He turned around and walked away, and Jenna remained standing. She felt like she'd been doused in a slop that would never wash off. She went home and sat thinking again. Why so sad? Robert came up to her. No, it's okay. She hugged and kissed him. Jenna now knew where the man's money was. She could take it freely, but she didn't want to. What are we going to do? Every night they found something to do. Let's go for a walk. She just wanted to live, not think about something bad every day. What do you say? He took her hand, and they left the house. That evening went as well as any other. Robert and Jenna. The relationship progressed slowly. Every month she carried John's money, saved some, took some without asking. It was so disgusting when you deceive someone you've grown close to. 6 months went by. Robert and Jenna were living soulmates. Will you marry me? He asked. No. She turned away and cried. You what? Didn't he realize what was going on? I can't tell. She didn't look at him. When she met John once again, she told him everything. He's asking me to marry him. I can't marry him while I'm cheating. She begged him to give him Plushenko. You what? It's a gold mine. As a wife you can bring even more. He rejoiced. Jenna looked at the man she once loved. His eyes were crazy and his laugh was the same. I can't, she screamed. Then anyone with your ass on all the screens. He pointed to Jenna's pocket. Well, please leave me alone, she cried. Have you thought about me? John walked in the opposite direction from her. And Jenna returned home. Her attitude was serious. She was waiting for someone she felt good about to come home. You might even say she loved him. But the girl was afraid to admit it to herself. Hi, sweetheart. He hugged her. Hello. She was hiding her eyes from him. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with you, Robert. I can't tell you that, Jenna said. But you try. He crouched down and sat her next to him. Okay, she took in more air. I'm ready to hear everything, and I'll accept any truth from you, he told her. I'm so ashamed. She couldn't keep her voice down, and Jenna fell silent. My love, speak, he asked. John. She started to what? What John? Are you talking to him? was shocked. Man, yeah, she lowered her head even lower. I can't believe it. After everything he did to you, Robert even stood up. When we lived with him, he often filmed me dancing, and then what happened in bed. She blurted it out so fast that some of the words just got lost. And what wasn't getting through to the man. When you took me away, he called a few days later and started blackmailing me with it. Told me to give him money. I'm sorry. She cried. It's okay. Tell me what happened next. He sat closer to her and hugged her. I didn't know where to get finances from you. I couldn't ask you. So I was saving from the ones you were leaving me. And she couldn't say the next sentence, and took without asking. He finished. You thought I wouldn't notice, but if you need it, it's no shame. She raised swollen and crying eyes to him. I'm sorry, she said again. It's all right. Don't think about anything else at all. And don't cry. He put his arms around her and kissed her. Jenna couldn't believe it had gone like this. There was no fighting or arguing or anything like that. Sweetheart, so you will be my wife? He asked his big question again. What about the shoot? She couldn't understand. She didn't want anyone to see her. It'll be fine. I said I'd do what I said. So I'll do what I said. He kissed her again. If that's the case, then of course I'll do it. She pressed herself against his chest, realized that with this man she had nothing to worry about at all. The very next day, Robert had hired people to track John down, take away his camera and all the tapes and flash drives. Now he definitely didn't have any dirt, but he didn't stop there. Apparently, there was money. By now he was stalking Jenna. He went crazy with it, realized things weren't going his way. Hey, you bitch, he hissed. When Jenna arrived at school, she would run back to the car, get in it, and sit there. That is until Robert arrived and walked her to the classroom. Robert, he's lost his mind. Jenna told her future husband, we'll get over it somehow. He always knew something to comfort her. I'm scared. What if he shows up at our wedding? Jenna was afraid. I expected anything from that man. Let him try. The wedding had to be postponed because John forged some documents and gave them out as from Robert Togo's firm. So they started checking, dragging him through the courts. Good thing the firm had a great lawyer who quickly cleared the whole thing up. Now John was being sought not only by Robert's trackers, but also by law enforcement. But that's it. I guess nothing can stop us now. Robert and Jenna's wedding date has been rescheduled. Good. She's calmed down a little bit too and stopped being scared. They invited a lot of friends, acquaintances, and family. There's the man I always told you about. Camille pointed at her son-in-law. Thank you, Mommy, for everything. Her daughter hugged her. You're welcome, darling. The important thing is that you're doing well. They were happy. The wedding went off without a hitch. Robert couldn't be happy to have such a wife. So, do you want to go on a trip or a flight? He asked her. No, I'm fine with you here. Jenna never left his side. Robert took a vacation. He decided to leave all business and devote himself to the woman he loved. The week flew by quickly, but it was like a fairy tale. Robert had so much lost love that he gave it all to Jenna. Where were you before? Why didn't you take me away from him sooner? She didn't live in his arms. If I had, I would have. He held her so tightly in his arms and knew he would never let her go anywhere. A couple months later, Jenna met her husband at the door. What's wrong with you? He smiled. I feel like someone is going to be a daddy soon. She looked at him. I don't believe it. He lifted her into his arms. Believe it. She put her arms around his neck. Lord, not only have you given me the most beautiful woman, but she's going to give me an heir as well. He couldn't believe it. Things couldn't be that good. The pregnancy was difficult, and Jenna was not well. The paramedics had been called to her several times. What was it that she didn't realize? Her mom had told her that when she was pregnant, everything was fine, and she couldn't feel anything. It happens. That's all the doctor said to her. Okay, Jenna was patient and she wanted to make her husband happy so badly that she could endure and endure anything. She did, steadfastly for 9 months. And now they're taking her to the hospital. Soon their baby will be born. Breathe. That's all Jenna could hear through the worst of the pain. What am I doing? She couldn't even breathe with every movement. Every movement was painful. Come on, screamed the midwife. Exhaled the girl. She thought she was going to die herself while delivering this baby. And suddenly, there was such relief. No pain, there was nothing else. There was dead silence in the room, and Jenna even rose up on her elbows. And at that moment, there was a shrill cry of a child. The girl put her on her mother's chest, whispered Jenna, such a beautiful name. Standing next to the nurse like a little angel, explained the mother. She really does look like one. The woman took the girl, wrapped her in diapers, and took her away, and lay down for a while longer. And then Robert came to see her. He was informed, and he immediately rushed to his favorite girls. Congratulations, my love. He bent over his wife. Thank you. She kissed him. You're beautiful. He corrected her, kicked the jokes, and it's already okay. She realized he was doing it on purpose to make her forget. They were transferred to a room that Robert had paid for. Everything here was state-of-the-art. But Jenna didn't need any of that. She just wanted to get home. And so they were on their way to a place where they were loved and waited for, and smiled and held their baby girl in their arms. Robert, of course, had prepared everything according to the other way, he just couldn't. Jenna entered the nursery and gasped. Everything was so beautiful, especially for their baby girl. And you had tried so hard. She kissed him again and again. Drunk worked. It had been 2 months since the birth of the baby girl. Jenna was doing everything to make her daughter feel good. The grandparents came to visit, but Jenna said she would do everything on her own. So they just visited and left. Robert was so proud of his wife, he couldn't even put it into words. I'm gonna take my daughter for a walk, she told her husband. Well, he was not worried because Jenna always walked through the local traffic and never strayed far from home. This day she went out, walked the same route she always did. Then she remembered that she needed to stop by a local store. The clerk had asked for the number of a manicurist. She looked around for someone to leave with the stroller. Then she thought nothing would happen in a minute. She left her daughter by the porch. She quickly went in, put her business card on the counter, and immediately came out and looked in the stroller. Her daughter, wrapped in a blanket, sleeping peacefully. Let's go home, Jenna said, calmly, and walked down the paths again. She walked, humming something to herself, looking ahead where she could already see their house. She walked through the gate, walked up to the porch. The security guard offered to bring the stroller and the baby home. But Jenna refused. She would bring her daughter in herself. The girl threw the lid of the stroller, took out the baby in a blanket, and it seemed somehow light. Pulled back the corner, and there, instead of the baby, some rags. Screamed the mother so loudly that ran out of all the guards. Robert ran out too. Jenna, what happened? He bent over her. The daughter. She was sitting on the stroller. Call everyone in immediately, the man said. There was so much traffic, you couldn't miss a fly. Whoever did this couldn't have gotten far. He couldn't have gotten past the guards in a car. So it would have to be on foot and through the woods. The uniformed man who'd just arrived was making his conclusions. That we're standing here. We need to run in there and calm the area, the woman shouted. She was ready to run wherever she needed to go. Maybe we should leave the mother at home, the lawman asked. No, Robert, I want to come with you. Don't leave me alone, begged Jenna. Okay, she will come with us, he agreed. Together, they walked towards the forest, which started at the edge where the last houses were. And the one who had done all this wasn't going to run far. As soon as the people entered the forest, he heard their voices and began to make noise himself so that he would be found sooner. I think the sounds are coming from over there. One of the policemen pointed with his hand. Let's go. He looked at the girl's mother and father. Quickly, Jenna hurried everyone. They got through some storm, found themselves on some yielding hillock, and Jenna almost fainted when she saw John standing there with her little girl in his arms. "What do you want?" asked what he thought was an important question for this man. "Robert Place," he answered honestly. "John, you don't dare get hysterical." "Jenna, do you doubt it?" He lifted the child above his head. "There's no need to provoke him," one of the men in uniform asked. "Please, you want me to go with you, but don't do anything to the child." Jenna stood up. "I don't need anything from you." He laughed his ugly laugh, and he leaned back so far that it looked like he was going to fall. Then what? What all this was for no one understood. "You don't know how bad and painful it was for me. Now I want you to feel the same way. Try to feel what I felt." And again that lunatic laughter was the conclusion of most of those present. "What is?" Jenna saw one of the men pick up a pebble from the ground and go somewhere for a concession. She wondered what he was up to. "John, remember how you and I were friends, how we loved each other?" And she was quietly approaching him. "What do you think? Is that going to make me feel better?" He looked her in the eye. "I don't know. I thought you loved me for real. Why do you think I married Robert to take so much from him? We have enough to last us a lifetime." And she lied. But her voice didn't even waver once. "Drink," John heard from downstairs. He looked up, and at that moment Jenna snatched the blanket from him, and the others threw him to the ground. "Oh, you set me up as usual." He was beating hysterically. "You wanted to rob me of the most precious thing I have in the world." She walked over to her husband, and Robert put his arms around her. "Everyone, let's go home," he told Jenna. She lifted the corner. Her daughter was looking at her. "It's okay," she whispered and kissed her. They returned home more or less calm. But Jenna could not forget the incident for a long time. Now she walked with the baby only outside the house. How did John's case end? She didn't go to any hearings. She didn't care as long as he was never in their lives again. He was committed to a psychiatric hospital, so I don't think he'll be out of there for a while. Or will he ever? I'm glad it's over. She was sitting next to the crib where their little girl was sniffling. "Come here," he held out his arms to her. Jenna got up and walked over to her husband. "Do you know how much your John valued you at? Finally decided to come clean, Robert. Did he sell me out?" She couldn't believe me. "For $1 million. He held her close. "You priced me pretty cheap." She laughed. "I was willing to give whatever he said, because I liked you even then." He kissed the woman who made him happy. "I'm glad to hear that. I hope you don't sell me out." She laughed. "Not for any money in the world." He hugged her tighter. There was a little girl crying in the crib. Mommy needed to feed her. Robert looked at his loved ones and only admired them. "Are you embarrassing me?" She looked at her husband. "You should know how beautiful it is." He got up and left the room.